Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey, is it Monday? I've been waiting for you. So let's get it popping. How y'all doing out there? You know what time it is. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Mine was quiet. I drove to places. I entertained the family by driving out to a small little town, walked around, got the Smiths t-shirt I was looking for. I'm so glad to have this. For those of you who do not know the group, the Smiths, I'm sure this is Connecticut. There's no way you don't know them. Headed by none other than Morrissey. I've been singing Morrissey like ever since I put it on. I've been singing How Soon Is Now. I can't stop it as soon as I put it on. And I feel great because I feel like I would have felt as a teenager if I could have afforded a Smiths t-shirt. It's weird because I had to wait until I was an adult to do all the things I wanted to do as a kid. You know, I grew up in Run DMC town, Hollis, Queens. And growing up in Hollis, Queens, every kid wore a pair of shell-toe Adidas. But we couldn't afford a pair. And when I got old enough, I think I was 35, I bought my first pair. And they had, come back into popularity roughly about the time I was 35. And I remember a guy at a store looking at me. He was like, hey, you got the nice shell-toe Adidas, man. I said, yeah, man. It was so great that those things are popular. How do they feel? And I went, my feet are killing me. Those damn sneakers had no arch support at all. My feet were killing me. I literally stopped wearing them after I bought that pair. And I really do. I really love those sneakers. I wanted to buy them, and then I put them on, and my arches, they fell like so badly. It was the worst tennis shoe for your foot. I can't believe Run DMC actually wore those things without shoelaces. What are those people, nuts? So I stopped doing that. But then I started buying things that I could afford when I got older, and I could never find a Smiths t-shirt that I liked, and I finally found one. And this is, just like any other Smiths t-shirt, but I couldn't, all of them were just different colors that I didn't like. But I'm doing stuff like that. There's another group that I'm going to wear tomorrow, the Gorillas. I love them too. I found a shirt of them at Spencer's, of all places. And I don't like to go to those shops. Are you made to go in them? Joey's hanging out with us today. How you doing, Joey?
We're good. I got a pair of two-tone Adidas shell toes, half baby blue, half brown.
Whoa, that's a weird color.
Yeah, they do not fit. I have outgrown them, but damn it, I still have them.
So wait a minute. So you're talking about the Adidas stripes are brown and blue?
No, the stripes are white. Half the shoe is light blue and half the shoe is brown.
Okay, so is this commemorating a particular team of some sort?
No, they were just some custom one-offs.
Oh. Oh, that's weird.
I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Please do.
I'm not wearing them now. But...
Okay, no. Yeah, they're probably not good for your feet.
Oh, gosh, no. They're the most uncomfortable shoe man has ever created.
They're not.
Right up there with Crocs.
Well, Crocs, it's funny because I rode my bike with a pair of Crocs to the store the other day, and then afterwards I was saying to myself, that had to be the most dangerous thing I've ever done in my life, was wear a pair of Crocs on a bicycle.
Yeah, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, this is as you're an adult and it's weird because I'll tell you this. So when I'm out with my wife, who will in a sitting look at a dress in the store, and this happened the last time we were in this town. She'll look at a dress in the store and then she'll put it on and it'll look great on her. And I asked the woman, how much was it? She says $250. Of course, because I didn't want to be embarrassed behind, that price tag, and we were talking to the owner when she put it on, I just went, yeah, go ahead, honey, wrap it up. It's a no problem. I'm just going to have to buy it. This T-shirt cost me $23. When the guy rang it up, Joey, this is my exact words. I don't know if I could justify this cost.
It's that adult money, though.
It's wild, right? And like $250, I was like, I just kind of just looked sheepishly at my wife and just went, yeah, sure, yeah, honey, you can have
whatever,
it. Yeah, $23 shirt for me. I'm going, do you have an AARP discount?
Yeah.
So sure enough, I mean, I got the shirt, but my wife tries to encourage me. She's like, honey, it's $23. You'll buy me something that's like $150. I asked you, you can't even buy yourself a $23 thing. And I'm like, I don't know why, but it is clearly.
You're like rationalized. I'm like, that's like 4 Biggie bags at Wendy's.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, I know what it is. My mother's conditioning as a child. Because my mom's go-to was, we can't afford that. So even when I have the money, I still treat it like I can't afford. I think I'm a miser. I think it's official. I think I'm a miser. I'm holding on to every penny unless my wife asks for it. As soon as she says, I want to buy it, no matter what the cost is, I go, sure. I bought her a stuffed animal yesterday. This is a grown woman. And now we actually have stuffed animals in the house. And I have no idea why, but it's insane.
It's a shaped throw pillow.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You wore those in public. The Crocs or the Adidas, Wendy? I did. Yes, I did wear the Crocs in public. My ex-wife saw me one day, by the way. My ex-wife saw me, and we were together for 10 years. She saw me in a pair of Crocs, a pair of shoes I would never be caught in. And she sees me at the at one of the like local Costco's, and she goes, "Are you wearing Crocs?" And I went, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, I can't wait to tell your friends." And she sure did. She told all my friends that I was wearing Crocs, and they humiliated me. They said, "You're wearing Crocs?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's wrong with them?" And now I wear them everywhere. I do. I wear them everywhere. There are the most comfortable shoes in the house. I will say that. In the house. Not when I'm running errands.
No, I can't.
You can't wear them?
I can't wear colanders.
They are colanders.
That's all they are.
I'll tell you the worst time to wear them, you have to check the weather. Because I've worn them when it rained and didn't know it was going to rain, and it was pouring rain. And that's the worst feeling. A pair of Crocs while your socks are soaked, the worst feeling ever.
Yeah, one of the kids wore them on vacation. His feet got like speckled suntans. Well, you look like you got leprosy, bro.
That is so true. Yeah, that's why I always wear them with socks just for that reason alone. But, my feet are really, really light, so I don't like wearing anything without socks. I don't want anybody to see my feet. That's weird enough. Anyway, I want to get into this. I have to say this before we leave. I want to say congratulations to Mayor Eric Adams, and I have to do it. Mayor, it was a good run, but it was a horrible run. There was no way you were going to be reelected, and not even if Mamdani was in the race. This is not about Mamdani. This is about Eric Adams. The only way this city can go is south. It was there when Bloomberg, as soon as Bloomberg became mayor, I knew, all of us knew that New York was going to go right back to what it was in the awful 70s, and it's about to get there. After Bloomberg, you got de Blasio, Bill de Blasio. When I heard that his wife was some radical leftist, I knew that de Blasio was going to turn that whole city into a dump. And sure enough, he did. And then after de Blasio, you think that the city would go, we need an improvement. No, it said, forward on we go, and then brought in Eric Adams, who turned out to be a colossal mess, wasted money, wasted resources, turned the confidence of the city into a socialist haven for the likes of Mamdani to be celebrated in New York. And if I may say this, look, this is the saddest part about it, is that the only person who can save the city, there is one man. There's one man who can save New York from itself. And sadly, It is the Raspberry Beret himself. It is. He wore a raspberry beret. That's going to save you. This guy is a comic book. He's a comic book character, Curtis Sliwa. And people are celebrating him like, oh, this guy's going to save this. I'm sorry. But if that's the saving grace, maybe Sliwa will be great. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't think so. New York does not want Sliwa, even if he is the best thing for the city. Mamdani is your man. He is going to destroy that great city, and we're all going to watch. Folks, if you are in New Haven, maybe even Greenwich, what I would say right now is go out and get yourselves an industrial pair of binoculars, or maybe one of those ocular what do you call it? Oh, goodness gracious, the name is escaping me. But whatever it is, just get yourself something that you can see in far distances. But I want you to watch from Connecticut as that city burns to the ground. Our sins are going to go up. Oh, they will. Trust me, they will. That's how people respond. When it becomes dystopian, it begins with the fires, inexplicable ones, out of nowhere. In areas far and wide, you will just see smoke pillowing into the air once this man becomes mayor. Telescope. Thank you, Michael A. I don't know why I forgot that word. But grab yourself an industrial telescope, one that will help you see Neptune or Uranus, because that's what's going to happen in New York. You are going to see that place crumble. No businesses will show up there. They will all leave. They will run. They will scurry. And they will beg for help. They will scream to Washington, someone save us. And Donald Trump will say, maybe not. He'll remember exactly how you treated him. He'll have the right to. He'll have the right to tell New Yorkers, what do you want from me? You deserve the government you elect. Mamdani's going to make it all happen. I can't wait to see how the bodega owners respond with government supermarkets. I can't wait to see how badly they respond. Oh, they will respond. They definitely will. How about the Jewish community? What will happen under Mamdani in the Jewish community? I don't know, but I can pretty much expect a lot of pro-Palestine protests outside of every synagogue you could think of in New York City, to the point where people will be afraid to go outside. It'll be globalized, the intifada, every Saturday. It's going to be that bad. Because once Mamdani wins, it will give license to everything. And we're here to watch it. That's right, Lori. Letitia James and Alvin Bragg will not help you. They will cheer this on. They wish to turn this asylum over to the maniacs, the activist class. In New York, the pro-Palestinian protesters who say globalize the intifada, that's the base. That is the radical left base that is going to get Mamdani elected, that will keep Alvin Bragg in power, who will just drop charges on violent offenders, even when they're caught on video, as you learned from our guest last week, Savannah Craven Atow. That woman was punched in the face, left bloody, caught on camera. Got the woman on camera, got the woman celebrating it on camera, and they dropped the charges. What do you think Mamdani's New York is going to look like? I told you folks that Snake Plissken will not be able to save that city. It's over. One of my good friends told me, "You're never going back to New York?" I said, "Never." "Really? It's your home." "Not anymore. Not anymore." I was done with that place in 2012. And I'm not looking back. You can't. It's only going to get worse. So Eric Adams decided that he was going to bounce, saying that there's so much that he could have done, but he could not, and left the race.
Despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue my re-election campaign. The constant media speculation about my future and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign. I hope that over time, New Yorkers will see this city thrive under our leadership, and that policies we put in place should be continued and expanded. I hope you will see that despite the headlines and innuendo, I always put you before me, always.
Yeah, a lot of good that did. I feel bad. I do. Michael A. asks, should the gay community be concerned? I don't think so. I really don't think so. Mamdani needs them as an ally. This is not like, Michigan. This is not like Dearborn. Mamdani's got other plans. And they're definitely, the gay community, they'll support him. They'll continue to. He's not going to go after that. That's his base. He's never going to go after them. But the other folks, if you're wealthy, if you're white, if you own businesses, you're a target under this administration. Mamdani represents something that a lot of people are ignoring. And for them, it's retribution. The objective for Mamdani supporters is to go after the people they believe have aggrieved them. Banks, businesses, industry, captains of industry. New York hates the opulence that it is. I mean, they literally resent it. I say that as somebody who comes from that town, and that's the way people view it. They view New York City as the mecca of capitalism. And if you have a bunch of supporters who are against capitalism, Mamdani is your guy. Mamdani has pretty much expressed to you that it's not fair for them to have all of that wealth and you have nothing. And he is going to be the wrecking ball for that. As I tried to explain to the boy this weekend, these ideas are not new. And these ideas never work. And unfortunately, like a petulant child, New Yorkers are going to have to learn. But they're also going to have to suffer to do so. When we come back, we'll talk about the future of New York. We'll also talk about the stupidest thing I read today. And you are about to watch gun confiscations in real time from our neighbors to the north. We'll talk about all that, much, much more, plus your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. It's Reese on the radio. We're back, Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. And what did Matteo say? He said, most liberals would rather live in misery than admit that they were wrong. I don't know. Maybe a lot of people in New York City will have the option to move. I suspect many of them will not move really far away. I expect Hudson County in New Jersey, or what's called, I guess, the Hudson side of New Jersey, areas like Edgewater, Hoboken, Jersey City. A lot of people will move in there if real estate companies are smart or developers are smart. They'll build more, which they've already done in a lot of cases. On that, when I lived there back in 2005, there was an incredible amount of construction of, tall skyscraper apartments that were along the Hudson River in Edgewater. And that primarily was because of the affordability in New York, which has gone through the roof. I look at some of the prices there, and doesn't make any sense to me, because if you try really, really hard to live there, I know that living in New York is about being stubborn. And what I mean by being stubborn is if you've got an active lifestyle in New York, you can justify paying the rents there. So your friends are there. Where you go to work, of course, is there. Where you go to hang out, your coffee spot, or being able to get pizza at 3 a.m. Crazy stuff like that. When you're young, you can justify that kind of ridiculous spending to live there. And you can do 2 or 3 jobs to do it. And not only that, you have guys who, people who do gig stuff on the side. And they can afford, I shouldn't even say they can afford. They struggle, but they make it happen. And they complain about it, but they get to say they live in New York City, which is a status symbol. And I know that when I lived in the West Village, I lived on 7th Avenue and 12th Street, across the street from the old St. Vincent's Hospital, where ironically my son was born. And it was a doorman building. I lived with my girlfriend there at the time, and none of my friends could believe I lived in you live in a doorman building? I was like, yes. And not a doorman building, just some schmo holding the door. The guy had a uniform. It's a guy we had to give Christmas bonuses to. It was legit. It was the real deal. And I lived there for about 1.5 years. I also used to live in the East Village. I used to live in Avenue D and 8th Street. That was pretty bad. But I lived in Manhattan, what they called Alphabet City, which is Avenue A, Avenue B, Avenue C, and Avenue D, starting at 14th Street, working its way down to Houston. And every one of those letters represented something. A for arson, B for burglary, C for crime, D for drugs. That's what we called Alphabet City. For those of you who do remember, you might remember a little movie called The Last Dragon with the villain named Show Nuff. I know Joey remembers this movie. I depend on Joey to know this movie. Joey, don't tell me you don't remember The Last Dragon with Show Nuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the name of the pizzeria?
Oof. No.
It was Lenny Green's Pizza. That was the name of what's the name? Tamok, the Last Dragon's father. He owned the only black pizzeria in New York, the black-owned pizzeria in New York. That was down the block from my apartment.
Nice.
Oh, and it was famous. Even though it was owned by another company, it stayed famous because it's from the movie The Last Dragon. Lenny Green's Pizza, that's right. And it's a staple there, but it was probably one of the most violent neighborhoods that I knew of. Like, it was a lot of gang activity from the Latin Kings to everybody else. But you lived there because, simple and plain, you were in New York. You would live, and we had plenty of, as what we called yuppies. Do they still use that term, by the way?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had a lot of yuppies who lived like a block away from some of the most dangerous neighborhoods. A lot of hippies, too. But they lived in the neighborhood. So it was a nice mix of very heavy Latino, Puerto Rican in particular, and Dominicans. And then you had, these hippie white folks who, rockers and hippies and poetry readers and all that other stuff. And then, we had a black community kind of spattered around here and there. But it was a big mix. But everybody knew that the neighborhood was violent. But why did they live there knowing it was that violent? Because it was New York. Mm-hmm. You get to say, I live in the most popular city in the world. And people are willing to do that. But the affordability is going to be something that people cannot sustain. When you have a 2-bedroom apartment at the rate of, and we're talking about a bedroom, folks, that is like the size, if I were to say best, 10 by 15 feet.
Dang.
Okay, yes, okay, so you know what I'm talking about. 10 by 15 feet, a bedroom. And you know that a 2-bedroom is going to cost you upwards of $35,000 to $4,000.
Yeah.
In a bad neighborhood. A month. Okay? Good paying salaries make at best about, I would say, roughly about $75,000 a month. A reasonable family. You can't live in New York making that kind of money. And if you do have gig work, or you're working at like the McDonald's, or you're working at some other, let's say small industry, you're not going to be pulling in that kind of money. So people have to stay there. But what will happen is those people who cannot live in New York City in the Lower East Side or Greenwich Village or the East Village will eventually go to Jersey or go to Astoria, Queens, or go to the outskirts of the East River on the Queens side. Those places aren't far better as far as, affordability is concerned. Some of those prices are almost on par with Manhattan rates. Why? Because it's by the water and you can see the city from them. But you'll go further and further out. You'll go from 30 minutes to your job to about 45, maybe even an hour. But that's the only choice you have. And when this guy starts talking about affordability, who is he going to make it affordable for? It won't be you. It won't be the average schmo. He's going to make that place affordable to those. How am I going to put this? This is going to be so mean. He's going to make it affordable for people under normal circumstances won't matter or haven't. But he's going to make them matter. He's going to make them the voting base. And you know exactly who that is. That will be the immigrant community, because they're the only community that matters. They're the only community to this particular politician that matters at all. It's the same case with Lamont, same case with Blumenthal, same case with Murphy. They are the most important constituents. When these guys talk about affordability, when these guys are talking about how we can make Connecticut affordable, when they talk about how can we get more housing in the state, it is not for the working poor in Connecticut. It's how can we get this affordable housing for the people who matter most. And those are the people who are going to be the voting base. And you can tell that because you can listen to what they say, or in most cases, what they don't say. By the way, I'm going to give you an example with Justin Elicker in the next hour. He was on Dennis House's program on WTNH this weekend. And what he said on Dennis House's show should make him unelectable. But no one will notice it. But we'll play that audio. And if I'm Stephen Orozco, I would have listened to that interview and I would have cut 3 commercials, one of which I'm going to show you today. Because Justin Elicker on Dennis House's show proved he cannot manage New Haven at all. It's a welfare city. That's what it is. That's what New York is going to become. And that's what a lot of major cities in the country are going to become. And that's what they're looking out for. When you hear this nonsense about winning in 2028 or winning in 2026, what they're trying to do is turn these cities into welfare cities. And they will use the federal government to fund it. They know exactly what they're doing. And we'll break that down also in a little bit. I noticed something yesterday. Was it? Yeah, it was yesterday. And this article about the Hartford, from the Hartford Courant, talking about college campuses that are concerned about the Trump era, which, by the way, I'm seeing that sort of headline everywhere. Everything is being viewed from the Trump era. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. But this particular article is talking about how college campuses are nervous about how they do their jobs as teachers after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I want to break that down because the article, the people they spoke to said something I thought was really scary, that they admitted it out in the open. Not that so much it needs to be investigated, but it needs to be watched. That these college campuses and the teachers there are concerned about the atmosphere after Charlie Kirk for reasons that were made public by Chris Murphy. And sometimes I wonder whether or not these folks realize how much they expose themselves when they talk about their fear. You might remember last week I said Democrats always show us what they fear most. And in some ways it's an indication that, it exposes who they are. This is one of those cases. And this Hartford Courant article is lengthy, talking about the fears that are happening on college campuses, as they put it, in the Trump era. There's also another article in the Trump era about how Donald Trump is coming at odds with the WNBA. If you didn't know this, I don't blame you. I didn't know anything about this either. But apparently, Donald Trump is coming for the WNBA. And if I may say so myself, I applaud it. What does he have planned? Oh, and later on, for those of you who are making hay of this story, keep it sports themed. For those of you who are making hay about the Bad Bunny halftime show controversy, if you would give me a chance to explain this to you in the 5 o'clock hour, why this isn't a story, because that's being also displayed as an anti-Trump issue. It turns out that the strategy of the left is to make everything anti-Trump. From the news media to television shows, all of it has got this theme that is based or cooked with the anti-Trump theme. I'll talk about all of that as well when we get to it. When we get to it later on in the program. We've also got headlines. Stupidest thing I read today involves a tour bus, which shows you exactly how crazy all of this stuff has become as of late. Joey, do we have Mark Christopher in today?
Yes.
Okay. Who is in for weather? Do we know if it's Bob Larson yet?
Good question.
Because I like to give these guys some props, but I know it's been like Bob Larson's in some days, and then some other guys are in this day, and I don't know who's in where, and I don't want to not mention them. So I don't think we got a list this week. So I want to give them their props.
I think it's Bob.
It is Bob Larson. Okay, good. All right, so we got our regular troops in today. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get this up. If you want to give a call, please pick up the phones. You know what they is, 860-522-WTIC. 860-522-9842. We'll take your phone calls. It's Reese on the radio. We'll be back on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. You got plenty of news and plenty of views coming up. We got headlines with the stupidest thing I've read today. We'll talk about Justin Elicker. We'll talk about the Canadian buyback program that's going to turn into a criminal act very soon. Understanding the Bad Bunny controversy, which a lot of people are flipping out about. It's nothing. It really is nothing, and sadly, it's become a controversy where I think out of desperation. We'll talk about that as well. We've got two great stories that I want to get into. One that was brought to my attention last weekend about Windsor High School. I'll talk about that a little bit because someone may have gotten ahead of their skis on the Windsor High School story under the impression that I was going to be covering that story. I'll break that down for you. And so what was brought to my attention and what I've learned so far, because as this show always does, we like to investigate stories before we start talking about them. So we'll give you an update on that if you haven't heard about it. Let's go to the phones real quick. Bill is in Granby. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Reese. Love your program.
Thank you, sir.
Second time calling in. Hey, I wanted to talk about what you mentioned about the concern that the universities have. I didn't hear what our esteemed moron, Mr. Murphy, had to say about that.
Well, he didn't say anything about it, but what he is deeming that Chris Murphy was on Morning Joke and was suggesting that we don't need to tone down the rhetoric against ICE because that wasn't radicalizing anyone. But he said what Donald Trump is trying to do and the Trump administration is doing is using the Charlie Kirk assassination as a means to tamp down dissent and public ridicule of the Trump administration. The article, and the reason why I say this sounds very much like this article about the colleges, is that the colleges and universities are now expressing concern about what they're teaching students in the classroom and whether or not that'll be under threat. Here's what they lay out, and it's a real simple breakdown, is that they believe that if they discuss something in their college courses that go against truth and facts, that with the sort of emergence of Kirk-like individuals, they will challenge what's going on in the classrooms, and if not,
100%,
and alert,
100%.
exactly, they will alert the proper folks to say, look at what they're teaching inside the school. So in essence, what they say in this article and what they're exposing in this article is that they run the fear of being exposed for telling people propaganda or selling propaganda inside those classrooms.
Yes, 100%. And worse, and it's worse for them because the Charlie Kirk-minded conservatives that have gone along, they've kept their mouths shut in class just to get grades. They're not going to do that anymore. And they've got the facts and circumstances and data on their side. They will crush these professors and make them look like morons in the classroom, which is even worse because that is unsustainable. You cannot continue to be a moron in a classroom of informed individuals.
And you know what? That's the whole, and I read that article 3 times to try to understand why was there a concern if more and more people were challenging the orthodoxy inside the intelligentsia. That would be, like, we're talking about where what the college was always supposed to be was an exchange of ideas, which is what Charlie Kirk brought to the universities. Now, because of his assassination, they're fearful that more kids are going to stand up for themselves and say, that's a lie.
100%. That's going to happen. And, I had master's classes, and I had a labor relations class, and our professor was a very liberal guy, and he was a member of the NLRB. And so when he taught labor relations, I was consistently challenging him. Now, I'm a pro-labor guy.
Right.
I'm a conservative, but I understand the role that labor played. I'm a big Teddy Roosevelt guy, so I have a very balanced approach of the beneficial things that organized labor have done.
Right.
But when he got to the NLRB, I challenged his entire premise because all taxpayers have to pay to fund the NLRB, but only unions get to use it. Only members of unions get to use that entire body.
Interesting.
And so I told him that, I want to carve out from my taxes because I'm in the private sector. But to his credit, he allowed that discussion to happen, even though he didn't agree with it.
Right.
And he didn't ding me on my grades, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Exactly, 100% right. I'm glad I was worried about the time. Thank you, Bill. That was absolutely a perfect dissertation, my friend. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
You got it, man. All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. We got headlines coming up with the stupidest thing I read today. If you haven't heard it, we'll break it down for you. It involves a tour bus when we return. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
And the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details. WTIC is celebrating 100 years on the air and 100 years of serving Connecticut. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
3 o'clock, Hartford temperature 78 degrees. Good afternoon, I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are holding a joint news conference. They met at the White House to discuss a peace deal in Gaza.
So this is a big big day, a beautiful day, potentially one of the great days ever in civilization. Things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years. At least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close.
And Netanyahu just a short time ago said he supports the president's plan. 2 people are dead following a series of shootings in the capital city over the weekend. WTIC's Morgan Cunningham reports.
Hartford police say a shooting at the People's Ballroom on Main Street just before midnight early Sunday took the life of 20-year-old Isaiah Akin Molina. He died at a local hospital. Later Sunday night, a double shooting around 9 p.m. on Brook Street led police to 43-year-old Dwight Watson, who was found injured at the scene. He died at a local hospital as well. A second victim in that Brook Street shooting went to a local hospital on his own for treatment of non-life-threatening injuries. At least 2 other shootings were reported during daytime hours Sunday, with no serious injuries reported. All of those shootings are under investigation. There's no word of any suspects or arrests in any of the cases. Morgan Cunningham, WTIC 1080.
Law enforcement officials looking into the deadly attack at a Mormon church in Grand Blanc, Michigan, say that everyone has now been accounted for and the death toll has not gone up. 4 victims are dead, 8 others were injured after a gunman opened fire during Sunday morning worship service, then set the building on fire. Lana Zach is in Grand Blanc.
Investigators are searching through the debris of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan.
We still are in the process of clearing out that church, but at this time, everyone is accounted for.
Police say the gunman rammed a vehicle into the church, then opened fire on hundreds of worshipers before setting the building on fire.
Investigators say the shooter graduated from a nearby high school, served in the Marines from 2004 to 2008 in Iraq. An attorney for a 22-year-old man charged in the killing of Charlie Kirk has asked a judge for more time to review the large amount of evidence in the case before deciding if the defense will seek a preliminary hearing. Prosecutors have charged Tyler Robinson with an aggravated murder and plan to seek the death penalty. A preliminary hearing would determine if there's enough evidence against him to go forward with a trial. A brief hearing held today in Provo was just a few miles from the Utah Valley campus where the September 10th shooting occurred. The judge has set the next hearing for October 30th. Senator Richard Blumenthal says health insurance costs will skyrocket if the Trump administration doesn't agree to extend health care subsidies, which expire at the end of the year. Senate Democrats are asking for that extension in favor of votes for preventing a government shutdown. Right now, Blumenthal says the White House is not negotiating.
The refusal of Republicans to work with us on extending the health care insurance subsidies is dumb and cruel and needlessly, recklessly pushing us toward a fiscal cliff that will damage the economy for everyone.
Officials in Waterbury hope crews are putting the finishing touches on repairs to a water main that broke nearly a week ago. Parts arrived over the weekend to complete the job. The water has to be turned off for crews to complete their work. Mayor Paul Pernaruski addressed a boil water edict.
The boil notice is still in effect, so if your pressure had dropped, you should continue boiling water until we're done with this process.
Yeah, well, and then they say the main dates back 130 years. The mayor says take about 6 hours to finish all the work. WTIC News Time is 3:04 from the WTIC 24-hour traffic network. Farmington, we've got emergency road work, maintenance work out on 84 eastbound between exits 37 and 36. Right lane closed. This is all due to an earlier multi-vehicle crash. Here's meteorologist Bob Cox with the WTIC Weather Center forecast.
Warm, dry, and pleasant weather continues this afternoon under a mix of sun and high clouds. Temperature up to about 80 or so, low 80s perhaps with enough sun and comfortably low humidity. Light north wind, partly cloudy tonight, lows in the 50s to around 60. Another mix of sun and clouds Tuesday with a
Yes, there's a trilateral agreement coming up, Matt.
15 miles an hour out of the northeast. And then cold front goes through late in the day Tuesday. Behind that, it becomes mostly clear and cooler. Tuesday night, lows drop into the 40s. Wednesday and Thursday both look mostly sunny with highs in the 60s. Mostly sunny Friday with a high around 70. And at this point, the weekend looks sunny with highs in the 70s Saturday and around 80 Sunday. I'm meteorologist Bob Cox in the WTIC Weather Center.
Modest gains on this Monday on the market side. The Dow up 47 points, the Nasdaq's ahead 96, and the S&P is up 12. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
The dog days of summer are fading quickly. Hurry to get this limited-time preseason offer. Call ALO Home Services today and take advantage of their $99 heating system check special. Prevent costly and inconvenient breakdowns backed by a worry-free, no-breakdown guarantee. Call, click, or text today and say hello, ALO, licensed for safety. HIC 628926, P10277688, S10413487, D10401465, S33086999, SM3004646, E11854643.
Chronic pain can be very bossy. What do I mean? It tells you what you can or can't do. Sometimes it even has the audacity to keep you from working.
I missed almost 3 weeks of work, and I was no longer able to play tennis. The pain was really debilitating sometimes. I missed Thanksgivings.
Abby was ready to put the bossy bad back in her past. And that's when she discovered QC Kinetics and their non-surgical treatments for pain. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine with tens of thousands of satisfied patients, people who have experienced real lasting relief without drugs and without surgery.
It has just been the most life-changing, amazing experience. Not only life-changing, but career-saving. I get to continue to do the career that I love. I'm playing tennis again.
Stop letting that joint pain boss you around. Start with a free consultation at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 860-440-PAIN. That's 860-440-PAIN. 860-440-PAIN.
Life unfolds in ways you can never quite expect.
1 minute.
A death
Thank
in
you,
the
sir.
family, a personal injury. Each time you are left searching for someone new to trust. But what if you had a full-service law firm that knows you and a firm that can represent all your legal needs? With BPS Lawyers, you get more than a lawyer. You get a full-service law firm. Visit bpslawyers.com. BPS Lawyers, your lawyers for life. Proud full-service law partner of Yukon Athletics.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
I am human and I need to be loved just like anybody else does. I know, I don't care. I know the singing is horrible.
Garage door openers all across central Connecticut just opened after that.
I love that song. I can listen to it all day. I just, in my head, I'm just here.
Listen, don't sing.
Yeah, no, I'm horrible at it. My voice is just god-awful singing Morrissey. I just can't do it. I can't do his voice at all. I'm just trying. That's all. I thought you would have played it.
At least we're not getting hit by any copyright strikes after that.
That's true. After that, it was just like, yes, we can't sue him for that. It sounded nothing like it.
AI's all confused after that one.
What? I guess anyway, actually, any copyright problem, they would actually pay me to stop. It's like,
yeah, probably. Yeah, please, just stop him. Stop him.
Let's get some news, guys. Oh man, I'm a mess when it comes to that. Many of you may have seen this video that's gone viral. A woman in Upton, Massachusetts, lost her car in a lake after an attempt to protest ICE agents who were arresting an illegal. The woman jumped out of her vehicle, forgetting to put it in park. And as luck would have it, it was all caught on video as it rolled into the lake, stopping her from even protesting. What's so great about the video is while she's sitting there looking at her car begin to submerge into the water, you see the ICE agents grabbing the individual and going right by, unimpeded by this woman who's there calling, I think, AAA or somebody else. But I would love to know if anyone knows how she got the car out or who was able to assist her. There's no reports on who she is. I'm sure she didn't talk to anybody or give her name or anything, but it is a great video to watch. Just go look it up. Senator Chris Murphy took a swipe at Democrats who are holding on to money that they've raised and not doing more than holding it over for their next election. bragging that he's donated $1 million to activist groups, including a paltry $100,000 to the group Indivisible. You might know that Indivisible is funded by Open Society, a George Soros-funded anti-conservative activist group, where in 2022, Open Society donated to Indivisible $1.135 million, and in 2023, doubled that, more than doubled it, with $3 million, which maybe would explain Chris Murphy offering them just a paltry $100,000. It doesn't say how much money they've got in 2024 or they've received in 2024 or 2025, but I'm looking into that just to find out. Why would Chris Murphy be giving them $100,000? It seems like they're well-funded. But whatever. Ariana Grande is getting into the political back and forth with Trump supporters. She says that she had a serious question to ask them. And if you want to answer it today on the show, you surely can. She asked this question, quote, I want to check in on Trump voters. I have one very genuine question. It's been 250 days now that immigrants have been violently torn from their families and communities, have been destroyed. Now that trans people have been blamed for virtually everything and live in fear, now that free speech is on the brink of collapse for us all, has your life gotten better? I think I can answer this for you. I'm sorry. I just think I could. Let me respond to her for you, but if you still want to respond, you can. 860-522-WTIC. Let me start by saying an open letter to the reincarnation of John Benet Ramsey. We're fine. How are you? And now for the stupidest thing I read today.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be.
This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Rapper Ice Cube may have to travel incognito in the future, that is, due to obvious stupidity by anti-ICE protesters. As his tour bus, or one of his tour buses, was in Portland, Oregon, Antifa protesters took the words Ice Cube as some sort of subdivision of ICE enforcement and torched the tour bus. This was the crew's tour bus because Ice Cube did respond to the event, stating that wasn't my bus, it was a crew bus parked in front of the hotel. Everybody was upstairs sleeping, nobody hurt, no equipment damage. We did get further reports that it was only exterior damage to the bus. They put fans, I guess, inside the bus to get all of the fumes or the smoke that was inside the bus. I think they're going to continue to use the bus. Ice Cube, thankfully, didn't have his personal bus torched because it was in the shop for repairs. But it appears, according to reports, that Antifa folks saw the word ICE on it and decided to torch it just for that reason. But I'm like, who doesn't know Ice Cube and would see his name plastered on the side of a tour bus and mistake that for immigration? Like, who would do something that dumb? And you know, it's almost like punishing him for daring to have the word ICE in his name. I mean, or they're just that. I mean, would they think that they would be picking up illegals in a tour bus? like, I don't know. That's
I know one thing Ice Cube didn't say today. Then
what's that?
I gotta say it was a good day.
Yeah, it was not a good day for his tour bus.
Definitely not. Yeah, so thankfully, his crew was fine. They were in a hotel room. But I don't know. Just get the hell out of Portland. I wouldn't go there right now. It looks like there's going to be some National Guard that's going to be, or at least the military that's going to go to this one section where ICE agents or ICE facilities are being attacked. I expect that to happen within the coming days. I do know that federal agents are already in Chicago. We'll see how this plays out. I've not heard anything of significance yet, but that's going on there. Let's go to Rob in Middletown. How are you, Rob? Rob, you're probably going to have to turn me down, Robbie. Maybe Robbie doesn't know that he's on yet. We'll try one more time with Robbie real quick before we go to
brother.
break. Rob, are you there?
Yeah, sure. All the crying liberals.
Rob,
crying
Rob,
about what Donald Trump's doing. Oh, he's a dictator. He's going after everyone. Too bad. Karma's a bitch. What goes around comes around. Peter Navarro, Paul Manafort, Michael Flynn, Carter Page. How many of his guys did they take down? If they had another information source other than MSNBC or CNN, they would know.
But Rob, you're making a good point. Rob, you're making a good point here. Because it isn't like every one of those outfits you just mentioned, CNN or MSNBC, didn't exhaustively cover the Michael Flynn, Carter Page, Peter Navarro, all of it, Paul Manafort, what they did to that man after years of ignoring any so-called FARA violations by him. They exhaustively talked about how the walls were closing in on Donald Trump because of all of these investigations. Poor Brian Ross.
And they tried to execute that man not once but twice.
Yeah, Brian Ross famously lost his job at ABC News. Do you remember what for?
No, I don't.
Okay, so Brian Ross, and again, think about the irony here. Brian Ross was the chief investigative reporter for ABC News. That was his job. He first made the egregious claim on the airwaves after the Aurora movie theater shooting that the man who shot him, he had investigated, was attached to a 45-year-old Tea Party member. As we all found out, that the young man was in his 20s and had never voted. He was a lunatic that did not match the same description. He then went on his program to send a report that ended up on The View by Joy Behar that Michael Flynn was turning state's evidence on Donald Trump based on Brian Ross's reporting, to which they had to go on the air and recount. They had to recant it because that was never the truth, and Brian Ross had to come on the airwaves and apologize for it, for what they subsequently suspended him for and then fired him after the fact. So you're right. All of this stuff that you're talking about, this was all covered by them. So to act like this new, going after Adam Schiff, going after Letitia James, going after Fani Willis, and going after James Comey, of all people, who, by the way, somebody that's equally despised on both sides, the fact that they would be outraged by this. Again, James Comey is the only person who has been indicted. We're not even halfway to the level that they went after Trump folks. Say?
And there's a big difference, too, the way they went after Trump folks. These were made-up crimes. What Comey did, he lied to Congress.
Yep.
He screwed himself on his own testimony.
Right.
You can't take that back.
Well, again, you also have to remember this, Rob, and I do say this all the time. If you are so arrogant to believe that what they did during that time was going to certify Donald Trump would never get in office again, and I think that was part of the hubris, was that, look, he's never going to get elected again, and no one's ever going to find they're never going to be in office so they can investigate this, so let's go ape on all of these lies and these deceitful comments, because we're never going to have to pay for it. And then he becomes president of the United States. And what do you think they all did? They all got on the air and started to say, immediately after he was inaugurated, the storyline became, so do you think he's going to go after his political enemies? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, absolutely.
They did it to me. Yeah, absolutely. I want some retribution.
This is probably the thing that bothers me most. And tell me if you agree. Don't you want Republicans to just openly tell the truth? To just say, if you think that this is political retribution for what was done to Trump, the answer is yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I wish they would stop, sort of jumping around and trying to be elusive about it. Because, again, if you tell them that, then they can move on. Because that's what I want everybody to know. It's like, yep, this is payback time.
And James Comey got awfully gray, awfully quick.
Oh, yeah. But, I'll put it this way. Do I expect him to be, Michael Cohen says that he's definitely going to be found guilty. I don't think these charges are going to be it. I think we've got some other charges coming.
Oh, I think Christopher Wray's next.
Oh, I can only hope.
That's the one I want too.
Is that your? Who's your big fish, Rob? If I may ask.
They got him, but Ray's number 2.
Okay, so Comey's your number 1, and Comey's number 1, and Christopher Wray's your number 2.
And I want the good doctor too.
That's my number 1. That's my number 1. But I'm glad he's in your top 3.
Maybe that is my number 1. I just hate Comey for what he did to Martha and everything with all that. So
yeah, I agree. Thank you, man. Good talking to you. Sorry.
And
Go ahead.
I was calling the grind on you a little bit because that clock was running out, brother. But you hit that game 1-3.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
You called it again, man. I don't know how you do it, but you did it. Great show, man.
I
love you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I told people didn't believe me that it was going to happen. This is what I tell people. You gotta just wait it out. I analyze this stuff for a reason. I would tell you right off the bat, never believe a word that comes out of my mouth if I get one of these wrong. I still got a big one. I'm going to bring my ex-wife in because I got a big one because she'll tell you, because I will not coerce her. I'm going to tell you what my big prediction is, and it's been at least right now. It's almost 30 years, and the prediction hasn't come true yet, but it will. I promise you it will. Let's go to Tim. What's going on, Tim?
My big one is B.O., Barack Obama.
I don't think – okay, so look, I don't know if you heard me say this last week on the Barack Obama front. And I say it for even Hillary Clinton. I would prefer their public reputation to be that of Kamala Harris going forward. For me, because there's no likelihood either of them are going to see a perp walk or a mugshot. But I do want.
So sure, that's treason what he did. He was operating behind the scenes, undermining one administration. Then the second time he was undermining Biden's administration. And then the third time he was trying to undermine yet again. He's still trying to manipulate from behind the scenes. That dude, if he were smart, which he's not, he would just go away.
I wish he would too. And but he said, I don't even understand why he's still got to make a check because he's got plenty of money from all of the books he sold and he's doing quite well.
The money he stole from Iran.
I would even go so far as
cashed in that pallet full of money. He took his skim off the top. I guarantee you. That's when he bought Martha's Vineyard.
What was Barack Obama's famous line? At what point? What did he say? At some point, how much money do you need? Right? That guy, $15 million home. But I believe his reputation, as it's Hillary Clinton's, I think that their reputations need to be rubbish in the sense of Democrats can't even touch them because they've exposed exactly who they are to where people are like, nope, don't want any parts of you anymore. Because then the influence of the Democrat Party is over.
I think that's already true with Hillary. There's a lot of people who I know who are hardcore Democrats, and I voted for Bill twice.
Yeah.
I would never vote Democrat again. But that's my number one argument is I say, you know what? I had to jump ship when they said Hillary was. You know why Hillary got the nomination? Because it should have been John F. Kennedy. She killed John F. Kennedy Jr.
Everybody believes that. Everybody believes that.
Back and forth from Martha's Vineyard to Provincetown Airport thousands of times. And I know people who work at the airport, and they said that guy was an established, an experienced pilot. And he gave that commencement speech there, not a commencement speech. He gave the speech at the DNC, and they all said he was a shoo-in. But
without a doubt.
She thought she was entitled. And why do you think they killed Charlie Kirk? For the same reason. They can't have a legacy coming up and coming. You know what I mean? They just can't have it.
Kirk would have been, I still believe, I agree with a lot of people that say that Charlie Kirk and the momentum that guy had, without a doubt, he was 2032 at best as a Republican candidate, at best. So,
or maybe an independent. The way things are going, you know what? Even I'm against it because you don't get to vote in the primaries. But I'm really not a Republican anymore because the rhinos have just taken that party over. When you see these votes and you can't get Rand Paul and all these other guys, they go, well, what are you possibly thinking that you wouldn't stick in Collins there and Murkowski? We got to get rid of these people.
It's funny. Did you hear Murkowski is now talking about switching parties?
Oh, yeah. Well, not surprising. She's been an undercover Democrat the whole time.
Yeah, I know. When I heard the story, they were like, surprising. Murkowski says she might become a Democrat. I'm like, to the rest of us, we thought she already was.
Yeah. And I feel bad for saying it, but the Republican Party kind of has left us, too. The Democrats are just the face of evil, but the Republican Party's,
You mean you're talking about the old guard? You're talking about the old guard.
Exactly.
Yeah, the old guard has lost its way. Yeah, it has.
Mitch McConnell, even what's his face there, the guy from South Carolina, who I used to like.
Ooh.
He's I can't think of what his name is.
Senator?
Yeah.
I know you're not talking about Tim Scott.
No.
Oh, Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham, exactly.
Okay, first of all, that guy changes his opinion like the wind. I'm never.
Well,
Yeah, Rush Limbaugh was the one who hipped me to the jive that is Lindsey Graham, because that guy, talk about being a chameleon. I can't deal with that guy. I can't at all. Thank you, Tim. I got to go to a break soon, man.
All right.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, Lindsey's definitely. Somebody said what happened to him is John McCain died, and then that gave him permission to pretend to be a Republican. I kind of agree with that. Anyway, when we come back, we'll talk about Justin Elicker. I've got some audio on him that Orozco should use as a commercial because Justin Elicker on Dennis House's program this weekend pretty much openly said that New Haven is a welfare city. And we'll get his own words. So stick around. We'll be back. Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Oh, hold still. This is only going to hurt a little. It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, phone calls coming up, and I know it's Monday, all things considered. You guys are just getting back to your work week, but don't worry about that. That's what we're here for. If you want to get on the phones, you can. 860-522-WTIC. Don't fret. This is a frustration day. Many of you people had a great weekend, Get back to the office. Ugh. Yeah, Monday's going to be a mess. It's okay. That's what this show is here for, to vent. To just vent. Let it all out. Speaking of letting it all out, this guy, Justin Elicker, had him on the show last November. And it's interesting to watch this guy operate and listen to him as I listen to everybody. And when someone doesn't really get what you're supposed to say in an interview when you're being asked about problems in your city. You're the incumbent. Someone's running against you. In this case, Stephen Orozco. And when someone's running against you, you have to sometimes lie about how well the city is doing. Even if it's bad, you have to sort of carve out where the silver lining is. Yes, it's bad, but we're doing this, that, and the third, and we're seeing results through this, that, and the third. That's what you're supposed to do. And sure enough, Justin Elicker does that in this interview with Dennis House. But something happens to people when Donald Trump is mentioned. I don't know what it is on the left. I don't know what it is with Democrats who don't like him. I don't know, but it's a triggering thing. And people say things that they shouldn't. Maybe it's stuff that they don't mean, but it's definitely stuff they shouldn't. And I'm not sure why. I've never, well, that's not true. I have experienced this. I remember someone telling me, a person older than me, far more established than I, who could not get out of his own way when he and I were having a conversation, where I would say something that would make him say the most reckless things. He couldn't control himself. And I would say to him, I was like, whoa. Why all the hostility? All I did was say this, that, and the third, and his response was, you make me, just when you say stuff, it was triggering. And a lot of you, you know who you are. You have it like you become these balls of flame whenever Donald Trump is mentioned. It's like you're looking, and do you have like one of those things on your phone where you get like an alert? Donald Trump said what? And you're there? I don't know. Maybe. But calm down. Justin Elicker was asked a couple of questions about Donald Trump. One that doesn't even affect him. It's not going to happen. He's not that important of a mayor, or is New Haven that important of a city? I'm sorry, just in the grand scheme, it's not Chicago, it's not Los Angeles. Can we just say that? Okay? Before people in New Haven say, what are you talking about? You're not Los Angeles. Right? Right. So Dennis House approached the conversation about the National Guard and asked the sitting mayor of New Haven, what do you think if Donald Trump were to bring the National Guard to New Haven? Something that's far unlikely.
If the president said he wanted to send National Guard troops into New Haven, what would you say? What would your response be?
Not helpful. There's a lot of other help that we need. And frankly, President Trump is taking away a lot of that help. He's threatening to withdraw public safety funding from communities like ours and cut grants. Having the National Guard is incredibly expensive to do, and that funding should be used to actually help cities like ours. And not only do we need more help on the public safety side, but we need help addressing poverty, which is the main driver of a lot of the crime that we have. And Donald Trump has been massively cutting a lot of these social services that are helping people that are struggling to make life work. And so we're going in the wrong direction, and having the National Guard in our city would not be helpful.
We're going in the wrong direction. Does he mean New Haven? Because he says that one of the biggest problems in New Haven that's sort of fuming crime is the fact that there are more people who are living in poverty. Well, no offense, Mayor, that's under your watch, isn't it? He went on to say this.
Is there any help that the White House could provide?
There's a lot of help that the White House could provide.
What? Wait. You're the mayor. What kind of, what are you talking about? There's a lot of. How bad is it?
Is there any help that the White House could provide?
There's a lot of help that the White House could provide.
Specifically, what would you like to ask for?
So, first of all, stop cutting our funding. We're suing President Trump because he is actively cutting funds. There's a $20 million grant that we received and actually had a contract with the federal government. President Trump just terminated that grant. We're suing the federal government on that. They're massively cutting health care aid to communities like ours, food service and food support aids to people that are struggling. We need that kind of funding to help our struggling communities. That's
okay. Somebody's going to have to fix this for me so that I can understand. What in God's name is Elicker talking about that the city of New Haven needs food funding? For whom? To the tune of what? $1 million? $2 million? $3? How much food are we talking? How much funding does Washington need to provide to New Haven so that people can eat? Justin Elicker is talking about his town like it's a third world country. Medical aid for whom? And by the way, we know what he's suing for. He's suing so illegals can get medical care, not anything else, and he knows it. But food? New Haven has gotten so bad that people don't have food, and the federal government's got to provide it. You mean to tell me that New Haven can't provide food?
They had a contract with the federal government. President Trump just terminated that grant. We're suing the federal government on that. They're massively cutting health care aid to communities like ours, food service and food support aids to people that are struggling. We need that kind of funding to help our struggling communities. That's what's actually going to help address a lot of the challenges around homelessness, around poverty that cities like ours are bearing the burden of.
Yeah. Cities like ours are bearing the burden of. And Justin Elicker can't get people food. How is that happening on his watch? And how is he asking the federal government to provide him basic needs like health care and food? Who's doing that? Is that going on anywhere else? I'm just asking, is that going on anywhere else? Is that a problem in Hartford? Has the Hartford mayor asked for the same thing? Is he screaming for funding for food in the city of Hartford? How bad does it have to be? And by the way, has the mayor of Bridgeport asked for this kind of support? Are people starving there too? And I wish Justin Elicker would just tell the truth. The people who are not getting any more money are the NGOs, and the people who are not getting health care services are the immigrants, are the illegals, the people who are not supposed to get that. That funding that was cut off was funny he was using to give to people who did not deserve it or didn't earn it. That's all. That's all it is. And he wants the federal government to subsidize his behavior, which the president has already said and already deemed unlawful. And if I'm Stephen Orozco, I'm using that to my benefit because he's telling you he can't get it done. In order for him to run his city in a way that people can get health care and people can actually eat, he needs the president to do it. Well, hell, Mayor Elicker, why don't you just let Trump run it? I mean, you want to talk about overreach? Why not? Let's just give it up. Just quit your job and tell Trump to run it. I bet you nobody will be starving. I bet you there wouldn't be any health care issues because he would probably point out that the people you're talking about shouldn't be getting that money in the first place. Carmela says, does he mean sanctuary cities like ours? Exactly. Michael A. says, these funds never get to the people who need it. Exactly. David says, what was the grant for? Good question. Could have been a good follow-up. But that grant money was nothing more than money that was going to go to folks like folks in NGOs who were going to be giving that money to illegals. It wasn't going to go to anyone else. That's all, and that's exactly where it always goes. Let me take Dave real quick. How are you, Dave?
Hello?
Hey, Dave. Yeah, I got you, buddy. What's up?
Holy mackerel, that was instant. I didn't even get off speakerphone. Listen, it's a New Haven topic. It's not one of yours. I want to talk about there's a wind turbine just north of the Pearl Harbor Memorial Bridge as you cross over into New Haven.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been running since, by my guesstimate, since the 4th of July. A solid 3 months it hasn't been spinning. And I know on the WTIC program, after the one you're talking about that Elicker was on,
yeah,
they made a big noise about the court case that when Trump put a stop to the Revolution Wind project in Connecticut.
Yes.
Because it's inefficient and wasteful and may never generate any kilowattage. So there's an already built windmill, in the East River in New Haven.
That no one's using.
That no one's using. Apparently it is a private one, but it's one of those great big ones. And the point I'd like to make is apparently it's not even worth the cost of fixing it. The value of the electricity is so low compared to the capital cost of maintaining it.
Who owns that, by the way, Dave? Who owns that windmill?
I have not been able to find it out because the electric companies are no longer to own any of their generation facilities.
Interesting.
It seems to be a secret. It was put there as a demonstration, basically to show what a great idea this is. And obviously the vibe that it gives off is these things are a pile of junk. They never work.
They are. In fact, they're environmentally catastrophic as well.
So Lamont had some cuts on the WTIC program at 10:30.
Mhm.
That this is Connecticut's program for carbon-free electricity. It is definite. It's an existential threat that our plan for the future has had the kibosh put on it by Trump. But the thing that I'm trying to make, the point I'm trying to make, is we've got an existing, already built. All the money's been spent to build it, hook it up, all the rest, and we can't even spend pennies. Not that it's up to me to keep the thing running to generate electricity. The value of this marginal electricity from a windmill. And the other point I'd like to make is it's been represented by Murphy and Blumenthal and Attorney General Tong that Revolution Wind is 80% complete.
Yes.
I think they're saying that without evidence. I don't see any evidence that, 8 out of 10 of what was supposed to be built is already built. I get the feeling they're talking about, well, they've gotten the permits, they've jumped over the bars. But it sure seems to me, based on what's stacked up at that new London heavy launch pier, we're nowhere close to being 80% complete for the Revolution Wind.
I'm actually working to get Mike Lombardi on the program. This is a guy out of Rhode Island who's talking about Revolution Wind, and he's got some very daunting information related to its structure. And he did a video about it. I'm going to see if I can get him on this week. But we're going to talk about just that, about exactly the environmental damage that Revolution Wind and these turbines altogether are actually causing inside the water. And again, it goes right to my thing that I said last week about Connecticut really not giving a damn about the environment. They claim that they do, but their actions definitely don't support that.
To get back to Elicker, this is right in his backyard.
Oh, yeah.
It could be, you might call it industrial blight. It's sitting there totally useless. And what's he doing about it to bring that thing up online? If it's that important for the price we pay for electricity and as a direction to point to the future, and we don't seem to give the slightest crap about it.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that all these windmill projects are just virtue signaling by the likes of Murphy and Blumenthal and Tong. And once the money's been in the IRA, that act of Biden, the Inflation Reduction Act, once the money's been appropriated, they don't give the slightest darn about what happens until Trump put his finger on the scale, and now it's the most important thing in the planet.
Exactly.
You've done a good job exposing what Elicker said. Did you notice he mentioned the guy who got arrested by ICE? I think he said he's from West Haven.
Yeah, he said he got arrested in West Haven, not New Haven. That was actually kind of funny.
Wasn't us.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks a lot.
You got it. Yeah, Elicker's, he's a card, man. We got to take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views. We'll take more of your phone calls as well. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080.
If you missed any part of today's show, you can listen anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Reese on the radio on your favorite app, hit the follow button, and you can catch up on every episode, every hour, every highlight, whenever works for you.
We're back. It's Reese on the radio. So a guy by the name of Paul just sent me a text message. Well, sent me inside the chat room on reeseontheradio.com. He says, just so you know the real facts, I live in Connecticut. I am currently out on the Ice Cube tour. I guess I thought the tour was called something else. He's calling it the Ice Pick Tour. That's not the name of it from what I understand. Anyway, he says, as one of the Ice Cube tour buses, the bus is a plain black bus like the other 5 that are on the tour. It doesn't say Ice Cube on it anywhere. The fire department ruled it arson. It's just another scum thing that happens in Portland. Thanks for listening. Yeah, I mean, I understand the tour is called something else. I don't think I was trying to suggest that. Well, I saw the pictures of the tour bus. So apparently the tour bus has Ice Cube's name on it, according to the photos that I saw. But if they're saying it isn't, they're calling it arson, what would be the reasons why Portland would attack Ice Cube, other than the fact that the words ice were on it? So I don't know. If it's true or not, who knows? We'll get to that. I'm trying to get some information on this Mike Lombardi to see if I can get him on the program. Somebody sent me a video of him underwater at the site of this plan, of this construction. And he talks about the environmental problems that are going to be there. And this guy is like, this is his world. So I want to work as tough as I can to get him on the program this week to talk about Revolution Wind. And from what I'm hearing and reading so far, this guy is the foremost authority on the damage that these wind turbines create inside the water. And it's again, not that I find it odd anymore. I used to find it odd, but I don't find it odd anymore. This is something that people know is damaging, but they don't care. But I think there's something else involved, and we'll investigate that, and I'll talk a little bit more about that with Mike Lombardi when I get him on. Let's get our first check of weather and traffic. It's time. Bob Larson's got weather. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. How are you doing, sir? Happy Monday to you.
Stay locked in. Reese on the Radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Let's do the thing.
Savory, flavory, bagel, deli, and bakery. Between rounds, between rounds.
Congratulations, John Kay. He lives in Enfield, and he is our current winner of the Between Rounds Dozen Bagels a Month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Vernon, and Manchester. Now, Joey, because you're here, there's some rattling going off that we could possibly do a in-store with the folks over at Between Rounds. Is that difficult to do?
I don't know. I can pull anything off.
Okay, all right. It's just something that I thought would be a cool thing because I love the folks at Between Rounds, and it'll be near my favorite food, uncooked, that is, and that's bagels. And I love bagels. I don't think there's anything else in the world I would rather eat than bagels. If I could just live off them. And so it's just something that I think that I would love to do.
Had a poppy seed bagel from there this morning.
Did you? Oh, did you? Okay. All right. No.
So no drug test in my future.
Yeah, exactly. I totally forgot about that. The poppy seed thing, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
I heard a story about a police officer that was suspended because of that. Because he had to take a random drug test, and he had poppy seed bagels, and he went through a whole thing. He was trying to convince him, I'm not on drugs. And it went through the whole thing. I mean, luckily, he kept his job, but I totally remember a story like that 20 years ago. Poppy seeds. Who'd have thunk? There you go. Let's get another check on weather and traffic. Bob Larson's got weather, and Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. Did we find out your favorite bagel, Mark? Did you?
You know what? I'm a plain bagel.
You are a plain bagel guy. That's right.
Or the ones with the little black seeds on top.
Is that the poppy seed or is that the everything?
Sure.
The everything bagel. No, Joey says it's poppy. Is it poppy?
Poppy? Okay.
All right.
Yeah, then I like the poppy seed.
He says, "Let me get the bagel with the black stuff on it."
Yeah, the black little things on the top. I like those. Little butter, a little cream cheese, and then I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Their bagels, and they make sandwiches with those bagels.
Man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, best
so good.
thing ever now.
They are so good.
Indeed.
Oh my God, they're so good. Every now and then they'll drop some food off in the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that is such a treat. Such a treat.
We'll be back to the phones shortly, but I want to talk about something that's happening in Canada. And with a lot of folks expressing the opinion that we need more and more gun regulation in the country, especially with the events that happened over the weekend in North Carolina and at the Mormon church. I was talking to my stepson yesterday, and the worst, I'm so angry at educators because you did not prepare this boy to have these radical views on the Second Amendment. You just didn't. And to show you how bad it is, educators out there, just how bad you're doing in stuffing this mind-numb idiocy into children. His argument fell apart in seconds. And I was driving, and I had nothing to go on. I was literally, just off the top of my head, dismantling his anti-Second Amendment nonsense. And I had to tell him that, worse off, he was just repeating stuff that he believed. He didn't even understand. Like, he had his smartphone behind me on an hour-long car drive, and I was telling him to cite the Second Amendment that he still didn't understand as he read it. And the only thing I could tell these folks, especially you teachers, is I want you to watch what's happening in Canada in real time. What's happening there? These folks are being told, hey, we're going to do a buyback program. And you come on in and drop off your guns, and we will give you some money for them. However, if you don't, there will be consequences. Now, if you don't believe that, you think, you're saying to yourself, are you serious? Here is Nathalie Provost. She's speaking to the press. Listen to her about the buyback program and watch how her description of it progresses into something you should be afraid of.
Right now, in Canada, there's some people with bad intentions who have in their house prohibited or non-restricted or restricted weapons without fair licensing. But the policeman is not knocking at every door to check what is in the hand of each Canadian. They are seized when they are moved, when there's an event. So it will be the same. But all of the people in possession of one of the weapons that has been banned since 2020 and who will not participate in the compensation program will have an illegal gun in its possession, and that's a criminal act.
All right, thank you very much.
And that was their response to it. No one countered it. No one spoke up. The bottom line is, you don't turn in that gun, you are a criminal. And she says they won't be knocking on every door. That was never offered. It wasn't even offered as a question. But you could damn well bet it's coming. You don't believe me? Try this on for size. Anybody remember Canada during COVID? Were the police officers knocking on people's doors? Were they dragging them out of their homes over COVID? Yes, they were. Does anybody remember bank accounts being cut off? Even crowdfunding stopped, halted, preventing families from feeding their children who were on strike? Do you think that this isn't going to go one step further? No? Don't have a thought of that, huh? You'll see. And I want everyone to watch it, keep a close eye on it, and tell me, oh, it's not going to be that bad. Okay. Find out what banned guns they are. Find out what the penalty is if they don't return them. Find out what they're going to, because I promise you this, no one in Canada is just going to let Canadians keep the guns. No one. Not one person is going to let them just keep the guns and just going to go, we'll catch them in transport. They want those guns seized. And you're going to watch how bad it gets for people who refuse to give them up or people who stand up for themselves and what they believe is their right to have them. Or you'll just watch an entire country just get over. And the part about that I find really, really weird is that no one thinks that Canada will impose its will on those folks when they give up those guns. That Canada won't go one step further. I thought it was crazy enough when they said they were going to imprison people for speech against the LGBTQIH LMNOP groups. I thought that was but it happened. I thought it didn't make sense, but it's there. Here we are. Now the gun confiscation, oh yeah. It's going to be serious. And once they can get it done, and that's how these authoritarian groups, like, you guys want to see authoritarian? You're going to watch it. It's going to happen real time. Once they get this, it's going to be one step further. And again, it's not like you haven't seen it. I'm the person on this program, this network, who told you what happened with the MAID program, the medical assistance in death. What did I tell you was going to happen? That it was going to progress. Now it's at the point where anybody who wants to die can just die. Just take their own life. There was a time when we were looking at Dr. Jack Kevorkian and going, word? Really? Canada said, hold my beer. It went from terminally ill to mentally incapable or impaired to people who just don't want to live anymore. And you don't think that Canada is going to progress that? It won't be. They'll probably frown on the death penalty. No, we won't kill anybody for a violent and heinous act. But if you want to kill yourself, have at it. We'll provide the pod. That's where we are. What's up, Simsbury Joe? How are you, sir?
Well, you're talking about, I want to talk about Mandami, but you're talking about Canada, and as you know, I spend a lot of time up there.
I know you do.
During the nicer weather. I have to tell the listeners who may not know this, the amount of true mental illness in Canada right now, combined with ignorance, and I can hear you chuckling.
I'm sorry, but
I am 100% speaking the truth.
Yeah.
You can have a conversation with, first of all, there's a number of Canadian patriots that are not going to give up their guns. But then you have a lot of other Canadians who have been so messed up in the head that you can actually talk to them about a topic. And I'll tell you one topic. We had a discussion with someone about where we were talking about how bad the drug trade is in Canada.
Yeah.
Giving a lot of examples, telling them about a Royal Canadian Mounted Police official testifying in front of their government about how many drug gangs, individual drug gangs, not drug,
dealers,
gangs in Canada, where they're located. Oh no, that's just the Americans saying that. And then you play for them on the phone the exact video off of YouTube.
Yeah.
And they still don't want to believe it. It's sick. Something has happened to the proud Canadian people where they have become so weak and they're sick. But I want to talk about Mandami.
Yes, go for it.
I spent a lot of my career going down to lower Manhattan mostly, and then a little bit of midtown Manhattan to make my living. And so I know a lot about the business climate down there.
Sure.
And I'm noticing some patterns here, and I could be totally wrong. So let's say you are the governor of the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
Oakley Dokley Ned. And what happens is that you see that this guy Mandami, who is to the left of you, is probably going to get elected unless something unexpected happens.
Right.
You know that the business community, because your wife is so tied into the business community, is furious and they're afraid.
Right.
Why would you not be saying right now for everyone to hear, hey, if the New York business climate is not to your liking, Connecticut would love to have you. The Hartford area would love to have you.
Stanford.
We will roll out the red carpet. You hear none of that. And this is where my conspiracy theory comes in.
Let's go.
Is that they, as Democrats, are looking at it, and they're looking way further down the road, and they're saying, yeah, Mandami will get in, and a lot of, not Republicans will leave New York, because there's not a lot of Republicans in New York City. A lot of Democrats will leave New York. Those Democrats will come to states like New Jersey and Connecticut and solidify the power there. They will also say, the heck with this, I'm going down south.
Right.
And they will try to flip down south. So they're being silent on this whole thing because they know there's a bigger game here at play, and Mandami can wreck New York. They don't care. They don't care at all, because the Democrats who do sit on the fence of common sense are not going to take it, and they're going to leave, and it's going to create a positive environment for Democrats to try to grow their constituency all over. But back to what I started to say, shame on Ned. Ned should be trying to drive businesses to the state of Connecticut right now for every one of us to hear.
But wait. So let's sort of elaborate on your conspiracy theory here. The only pushback I have on this is I would say that, okay, you believe that it doesn't make sense that he wouldn't lure those folks in, very much like Ned Lamont was doing back in 2022 when he was trying to get businesses that were in states that put barriers on Roe v. Wade or on abortion. He was telling folks, come to Connecticut because, we believe in your family values, come to Connecticut. This is a perfect opportunity for him to say, hey, New York, you can come up to Connecticut should things get bad. But in order for him to do that, in essence, he kind of would be elbowing Mamdani. He would be, in essence, displaying the obvious. He would be telling those businesses, hey, we know Mamdani's going to totally rear end you on taxes. If you really think that that's going to be a problem, come to Connecticut. We won't hose you. But it would also be a slap in the face to one of his own. Perhaps that may be a reason why he's not speaking.
Who's supposed to be more important, though, Reese? The people of the state of Connecticut and their needs?
Or the party apparatus?
Or some crazy scumbag, who is going to create all kinds of issues in New York City that you had described in the first hour.
Exactly, but that was the point that I was making, is that, look, the one thing that we've learned, Joe, is that this party is afraid of its fringe. And why? Because it's fringe. He knows. What has this guy got a problem with right now? If there's going to be a problem as far as a primary is concerned with Ned Lamont, he's got to deal with Josh Elliott, who is much aligned with Mamdani, right? If not all the way, but he's a considerable match to Mamdani. Even if Lamont hates the fact that his party's gone extreme left, he doesn't have the guts to push back on it to spare his own reputation. Because you're right. If I am going to run again in next year, and I got to, I have to ward off any competitors. It is Josh Elliott or even those on the right or conservatives, Fazio and Stewart. The one thing I have to do is to have a record of bringing business into the state. This is a prime opportunity to do that. But because he can't, because he knows that it's going to run afoul with his extreme left, he won't do it.
So New York City, their tech businesses rival Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
There's just so much going on in New York. Can you imagine if the Hartford area, let's say even around Dunkin' Donuts Park, that they built up a tech center, what that would do for the city? Or all the finance people and all the highly trained finance people that already live in the Hartford area. Can you imagine what that would do? I'm forgetting about Fairfield County purposely because they already get a whole bunch of stuff.
Sure.
But if the far left, if I were Ned and I'm worried about the far left, what I would do if I brought in all those businesses is I would go scorched earth on the far left.
Exactly.
I would do everything possible to just flat out destroy them in the state of Connecticut, because if they're against him for bringing in all these businesses and high-paying jobs, they got to go.
Yeah, exactly. Call them out, because exactly what they're doing is they're creating the poverty base inside the state. We've already got enough problems. Here's an opportunity to bring work opportunity, financial growth, and if another tax base that we could bring into the state so we can fund all the nonsense you want on the far left anyway. And it's
what about
ridiculous.
The New York City billionaires.
Exactly.
They live in New York City, and they may decide, I'm finally going. I'm going to Greenwich.
Yeah.
What does that do to the income that the state gets?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm very bothered by this guy's silence. I think it's unacceptable.
Yeah, it is.
It's malpractice. It really is.
That's the point. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you, buddy. All right, we got to take a break. Let's get to weather and traffic with Bob Larson and Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. Better. I have to cut that stuff off afterwards. I am going to talk about the Bad Bunny thing coming up. That's roughly going to be about in the Hollywood hour, roughly about 5 o'clock, because I got to talk about a movie I went to go see this weekend that I can't wait to tell you about. Like, I've never been this excited to tell you about a movie that I saw. And there were two other movies that I want to talk about as well that I want to talk about in the Hollywood break. So I'm probably going to spend a little bit of time on that. So, stand by for that. Also, at this break, we always talk about the website. Don't forget to go to reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. You can go for a whole bunch of things there. Listen to this show when you want to, whenever you want to. If you don't go to WTIC.com or the Odyssey app, you can go to Reese on the Radio. The more of you who listen there, the more you do to support Reese on the Radio. And I mean that in a very, there are no subscriptions anywhere. We don't do any of that. If you haven't subscribed to my Substack, please do that. You can do that also at reeseontheradio.com. Please read my current Substack, which is called Che versus Charlie, which is talking about how Che Guevara was respected and loved and adored inside college campuses, while Charlie, after his assassination, is being raked over the coals for what are considered controversial comments. And if you compare the two in the article, when you read them, you will understand or even ask yourself, how in the hell did Che Guevara get such accolades from the college campus. And that's pretty much what the article is about. So check it out. It's called Che versus Charlie, and it is on my Substack, which you can find directly at reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. Another story that I have to address in this minute is someone had posted that they were on a press conference that's going to take place this Friday. But they also stated that there's going to be an interview on this program on Wednesday. They don't state that it's this program. They said it was on WTIC. I need to address that if you've seen it on social media. Let me break this down. So here's what the press conference says. Windsor High School alumni and NFL star Chris Baker will be hosting a press conference at the Board of Education to discuss, 1, the weaponization of police against Chris, 2, district retaliation against student-athletes working with Baker, negligent management of student-athlete profiles, and number 4, discouraging parent and community support of for student athletes. Now, when I got the information on this particular protest, when I got this information about this individual, I planned on getting some background on it because it was alleged that there was not discrimination, but there was a problem between the faculty at Windsor High School and this individual who was a former NFL player. Well, we've had some further investigation into this, and we've come to some conclusions about that. We are going to talk about it in the next hour so that there will be no confusion about what Reese on the Radio in this program represents and what we do, and that is getting the full story, which I will give to you in a little bit. So stand by for that. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. These are the things that get you home at night, and we've got a stellar group of guys to do it. Bob Larson's got weather, and Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. You see all the glowing things I say about you? I want to be in the will. I want to be in the will. Just
Well,
a small
okay,
little
no
mention.
problem.
Just give me, you know what? Leave me one of your traffic lights. Just one.
Well, I'll give you one before I croak. Yeah, that's not a problem. My wife wants him out of here anyway.
Yeah,
so.
there you go. Now I can have it in my house so my wife could be annoyed about it.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're sort of big and bulky, but, I love them. So.
I know you do. That's why I want one.
No problem. I'll hook one up for you. We'll make it work.
The radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
Now, when I get stories like this, I'm always appreciative because, one, it says the thing that I want to say about the show is that, one, we get results, people are paying attention, and it gets the attention, after we bring it up, it gets the attention that it deserves. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make the voiceless have a voice, and to direct the right people to get results for you. I'm just a radio host. My objective is to, one, lay out what the issue is, apply some common sense to it, and then when those folks hear the common sense or the perspective that they may not have thought of, they act. And we like getting those results. We like the fact that people are listening, and they come to us. So when I got a call last week, and I want to say Thursday or Friday, I'm almost certain it was Friday, about this story, I was a little apprehensive. One, because the call came from Evilise. And you folks might know her because she is the spokesperson, pretty much the figurehead of Black Lives Matter 860. And when she approached me with the story, I immediately was hesitant because I'm like, look, I'm not going to get on board with a black versus white issue. This is not one of those things where it's like, you're going to tell me that some racism is happening where I'm just going to talk about it without vetting it first. It turns out that wasn't the case. And I promised her before I had a conversation with anyone, I was going to sort of vet this out. I was going to find out what was going on. I spoke to the individual who was involved. That turns out to be former NFL player Chris Baker. Not familiar with him. I'm not sure even what position he played, but it is certain he did play. And he is an alumni of Windsor High School, as are a lot of people who have been in the NFL, who are currently coaching on the college level, in and around or outside of the league. In fact, according to every place that I've checked out, Windsor's got a pretty good record of getting people into the NFL. and if in football on a collegiate level and in a professional way. In fact, many parents choose to go to this school for that reason, because the program is good. Those are their words, not mine. So when I heard about this story with Chris Baker, it was, okay, I thought it was odd, but there was something about it that didn't sit right. And that was where the conflict was. As Chris puts it, and I'm telling you verbatim because I record every conversation. It's just me, but I have to get people on the record. And according to Chris Baker, his words was that he believed that the coaching staff did not like him, and they have allowed him to participate in the school's sort of training and coaching on other occasions. Parents were okay with it, and the school was okay with it. And then, for some odd reason, according to Mr. Baker, that went south. So I just took him at his word. I looked at that. I said, what do you think it's about? Do you think there's something else going on? You know, is it a personal? Couldn't tell me. In his words, the coach just hates him. Okay? Didn't seem to make sense. Maybe there was something else that was underneath that he didn't want to get into. Fine. I had made arrangements to get in touch with the school to see whom I could speak to find out what's going on. And I did. And I want to congratulate somebody for reaching out to us. And it's a little inside baseball. I want to thank Ann Baldwin. I had a great conversation with her today because she understood what's going on. And she's got a show right here, Joey, right on Sundays.
Yep, Sunday morning.
Yeah, Sunday morning. Ann Baldwin, an alumni here at, a label mate, as I like to call them, here at WTIC. She's got a program here. And she and I spoke, and she gave me a statement from Windsor. And it reads as this. So I just want everybody to know, Chris Baker, if you're listening, Evilise, if you're listening, folks in the Black Lives Matter community, if you're listening, you guys said that I was fair. Well, this is fair. This letter comes from the acting superintendent of Windsor Public Schools. It reads, the bottom line is that we are focused on the safety of our students. Windsor Public Schools welcomes alumni involvement, but it must occur within established school policies and the Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference, the CIAC regulations, that are designed to protect student athletes and ensure proper oversight of our programs. Any coach or volunteer within our school system must become certified and be properly vetted. Mr. Baker has repeatedly disregarded these rules by entering restricted areas, directing players outside of sanctioned practices, and videotaping students without authorization despite multiple meetings and opportunities to work through proper channels. He has not complied with the directives. For these reasons, Mr. Baker has been instructed not to participate in any football-related activities. These steps were necessary to uphold student safety, maintain the authority of our coaching staff, and ensure compliance with the state and federal authorities. Our commitment remained clear, creating a safe and respectful environment where students can learn, compete, and grow without distraction or disruption. And again, this is important to recognize that it doesn't appear that the school has a problem with Mr. Baker, but they do want him to go with the proper go through the proper channels to make sure he is certified. Should one of the students be hurt? Should one of the students be harmed in some way, be it physically or psychologically, the school has to be able to cover its own butt. And it can't be, why was this individual there if they weren't certified? So perhaps with that information out there and that being made clear, perhaps rethink this press conference. And I think it's wise to, because this information is going to come out as it did here. And I am not, and I'm just going to be clear with you. According to what I know now, and it only took one phone call. It only took a couple of emails to learn this doesn't look good for Mr. Baker. Perhaps just take the L. Or go through the proper channels so that the school is protected and he is protected. This is not personal. This is business. This is professional. And it involves students. Now, I also understand that there are parents who actually like Mr. Baker. And they like his involvement with their children. Totally understood. He's a former NFL player and he has some influence. Right? And he knows people. Some of people in the NFL or in the collegiate ranks are best friends of his. And I'm sure his influence can get those students, in the offices of many of those people. Sure, nepotism, hell, what the heck? Who cares? Some of these kids can't get the opportunities under other means. I'm not saying that they should break any laws. Don't get me wrong. But it's nice to have friends who can at least look at you, where otherwise you wouldn't get the opportunity. But with that being said, it's got to be done in the right way, in the legal way, in a way that protects Mr. Baker and the school. And if Mr. Baker doesn't wish to do that, their hands are tied. And you're asking them to, break their oath with the families and the children that they are entrusted to protect. So again, I would say it was just wise to just back away, take the L, don't make it a spectacle. Mr. Baker doesn't need to be embarrassed. And it's not worth it. If he really believes in helping his children, if that's the goal, make it about the kids. That's all. And again, this is one of those things I try to express to folks all the time. If it is about the children, if it is about the people who you wish to help, make it about them. Don't make it about yourself. If you really do believe, Mr. Baker, that you can help these kids out, that you can get them into these D1 schools, you can get them here, there, or anywhere for that matter. If it's true that you can do that, then go above and beyond to help those kids. And in this case, just get certified. This always reminds me of that time when I was living in Fort Lee, New Jersey. And we put Ethan in a soccer league in our neighborhood. He was, gosh, what was he, 9, 10, something like that. And we put him in that soccer league, and the team that he was on, they were called the Rebels. They were garbage. They played 9 games, and their record was 1-1-7. God, they were awful. And I sat through that whole season, taking him to practice every Monday, going to every game, even in the dead of winter, because their game started in November. It was annoying. It's like a worst time you could start a league. Anyway, I went to all those games, sitting out in the cold, screaming and hollering at the kids. What are you doing? Get in the center. I'm not even coach. I'm screaming like a parent does. What are you doing? What's wrong with you, ref? My ex-wife at the time would just tell me, calm down. Will you please? You're going to get us kicked out. And when the season was over and he collected no trophies, we threw the participation one away. That's right. We did it. You get no ribbons. But afterwards, when we dumped it, my ex-wife looked at me and she said, well, if you think you're so good, why don't you coach? And me, standing up there saying to myself, you know what? I will coach. I knew nothing about the game of soccer. Nothing at all. I didn't know what I was doing. I know you kick a ball. I didn't know what offsides meant. I know I've seen it on TV. But like every other American, I turned the channel to watch some real sports, like badminton. And sure enough, there I was in a class, 2 12-hour days, Saturday and Sunday, learning the game of soccer, but not reading it, watching it on some school, on some blackboard. No. We had to actually play the game and run drills. Yeah. 12 hours for 2 days. Yeah, 24 hours. And then you got certified. You got what's called an F1 license. I'll never forget when I got that license. I felt it was the most important thing. And then I got my team. And because I was new, Those sons of brain surgeons, you know what they did? They gave me kids that didn't speak English. And I had to teach them a game I knew nothing about. I had a Japanese kid named Masusaki. He could kick the ball the length of the field. He was the tallest kid in there, but he spoke no English. But he loved the game. He was my leading scorer on the whole team. I had a bad kid that I know is part of a gang today named Jose. And another kid who really, really did love the game. And another kid who was a friend of a. But anyway, nonetheless, we went out there, 9 games, folks. 9 games. First year, head coach. First year. Our record, 7-1-1. Complete turnaround. By the way, I got my own son, Ethan, on my team. Best defensive player in the game. Best defensive player. He was 2'0". He was the Gary Coleman of our team. Shortest kid. But he was defensive player of the year. And we won the championship. So I'm like, look, again, and after the kids won, to be a part of that, to watch those kids who were considered rejects, because that's why they gave them to me. They thought these kids were rejects. They gave that team, when they held up those trophies, it's the best experience ever. I cried. I didn't even know what to do. They laughed at me, by the way. They was like, oh, come on. It's just a game. I was like, but we won. We actually won. It was the greatest feeling ever. I felt like I accomplished something. And I accomplished something for those kids. It was always about those kids. I took a trophy home myself. It wasn't participation. I coach. Normally, the coach doesn't get a trophy. He doesn't even get a certificate. But I took one. I did. It was a little gold man with a big, giant, red, black and white soccer ball on the top. The tackiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was the tackiest ever. They were so bad, we actually went out and bought trophies for the kids separately. So they can at least, they can have them in their room and they can feel like they actually won a real championship. Those leagues, they usually give you something, cheap. Probably like a $2 trophy. But we went out and we actually got to a real trophy. We spent our own money to do it. The kids were happy. We took them all to Pizza Hut, like I guess you're supposed to do. Is that the rule? Everybody's got to go to Pizza Hut after the soccer game? This was my first time living in a suburb, so that's what we did. But that was fun. I loved every bit of that experience. I would do it again. No, actually, no, I don't have the patience. Let's get another check of weather and traffic with Bob Larson and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. How we doing, Mark?
Well, we're doing okay, Reese.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is. You know who it is. You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Hollywood News with your correspondent, Reese on the radio. All the glitz, all the glamour. It's Hollywood News. So over the weekend, I went to go see something. I only got 30 seconds to talk about it, so I'll talk about it after we get weather and traffic with Bob Larson and Mark Christopher. I went to go see Eleanor the Great, and this movie was directed by Scarlett Johansson. I went to go see it, but not only do I have to talk about that movie, but I have to talk about the 2 trailers that I saw as well before the film that I'm really excited to see. When we come back, I'll break it down for you. I have to say this. If you're a person who likes good, quiet dialogue films, this movie is for you. I'm going to tell you that I was pleasantly surprised at the subject matter, the acting, the storyline, all of it. It got a little campy, but it's still really good, and I want to talk about it in a minute. It's called Eleanor the Great, and I want to talk about 2 other movies that are coming out that I have to see. They're, kind of those age-old film movies. At least one of them is. And another one with Brendan Fraser that I want to see. If you haven't heard about it, go watch the trailer. But I want to talk about that when we get back, plus your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. Let's get weather and traffic with Bob Larson and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. I know I'm not convincing you to see any of these movies no matter what, but I'm going to, you know what? Have you seen the movie Traffic? Just that. No.
You know.
You,
the
have
answer to
you
that.
ever seen a movie based upon your job?
No. Nope. Sorry. I apologize.
I've at least seen Radio Flyer, Radio Days. I've seen movies about radio. I'm teasing you, man.
I've seen what's the movie on the ship? Pirate Radio. Was it called Pirate Radio?
That's,
the English.
Yes,
the English,
that's right.
yeah.
Pirate Radio. That's a
Pirate
great
Radio. I've seen
movie.
that. I have seen that. So
that's based on a true story.
It is based on a true story. And
Yeah.
It was a great movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie. All right, I'm leaving you alone now.
Okay.
This is Connecticut's news station, WTIC News Talk 1080. Depend on it.
I like some of these. Some of these, bumpers and joiners that you play are actually cool. I actually like them. We're back. Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. We'll get to your phone calls in a second. Couple of comments in the chat room. Wendy says that I should come and coach with her. Nope, never again. I pulled my back out in the second season because I was so stressed out. I was like screaming, and I actually pulled my back out, couldn't deal with it today. Lori says, I love the movie Moving Violations. She must have stepped away when I asked. But if that's the movie starring Dana Murray, Bill Murray's brother, called Moving Violations, I thought I was the only one who saw that film. Because I remember going to the theater, and there weren't a lot of people there to see that movie. Dana Murray also is in Scrooged. He plays Bill Murray's brother in the film Scrooged. And I don't know what Alan was talking about. He may have been talking about somewhere else. Oh, and Bushwhacker said that you had the bad news bears of soccer. I did. These kids, they weren't bad, though. You didn't catch any kids smoking in the dugout. Anything like that. These were good kids, but they were very reclusive. These were the, sort of the outcasts of the neighborhood. Like, they didn't have the most friends. Them as a team, they all became best friends by the end of it. It seemed like, one of those movies where the kids, they get in the class and they all hate each other, and by the end of it, they become great friends after this great, challenge of winning the championship. Then they become the best friends and, sort of like Lean on Me, or, no, not Lean on Me. That one's a horrible one. That's horrible. Stand By Me, something like that. Yeah, your blood pressure goes up coaching these games. You can't help it. You'll lose it. Anyway, I wanted to say in Hollywood news, Eleanor the Great, I can't tell you anything about it, but I can tell you this. The young lady who's in the film, Erin Kellyman, she was on Falcon and Winter Soldier. She was in the Han Solo Star Wars film. And I've seen her place to place. She also did a Disney show called Willow. I guess it was a TV series that didn't last. They only had one season and 8 episodes. I've never really seen this young lady act, but this was an opportunity to do so. She is absolutely adorable. Even though I kind of joke with her because I said, when you look at her face, it looks like somebody sneezed chocolate milk on her because she's a light-skinned girl with a bunch of freckles, like brown freckles on her. But she was absolutely delightful in this film. And June Squibb, the reason why I went to go see the movie, was absolutely delightful. It was a fun movie to watch. There were times where I forgot that I was watching a movie because there's a really, really bad scene that's kind of embarrassing for the main character, where I'm like, I had to put my hat over my face because I couldn't believe I was watching it. It was so bad. Nothing gross. It's just an embarrassing scene. And you just kind of feel horrible for the character. So I was really invested in it. And if you're interested in going to see it, please do. I'd love to hear what you think about it because I loved it. Also, I want to mention 2 trailers that I watched of 2 movies that I definitely have to see. And sometimes people say, I don't like the trailers because they always give away the whole movie. Yes, they do. They have to nowadays. It's just a new marketing thing. But I would say go to see this movie for one reason. Soul on Fire is a movie you have to watch if you don't know what you're doing with yourself. Like if you're having doubts about whether or not your life has meaning or if you mean anything in the grand scheme. This is the perfect movie, just watching the trailer. And I guess it's based on a story about a young boy who had 100% of his body burned, almost 100% of his body burned. And then he goes on to be a public speaker. He takes on all of these challenges as he grows up. And it's about that. But there's this one great line in the movie which talks about, you only having this one life and doing the most you possibly can with it and not complaining about it, not complaining about the life you should have had or could have had, making the most of the one you do have. And that message in the movie really resonated with me. And I'm like, I have to see that movie. And last but not least, and then I'll go to the phones. The last movie was an actually interesting film, but then I found out it's real. Brendan Fraser is in a film called Rental Family, and it's based on real events happening in Japan, where you can rent a family if you are feeling lonely. Brendan Fraser is a, I guess, out-of-work actor who goes to Japan for this new project where, in essence, he gets to be certain people, a person who's in several people's lives, like a best friend, and I guess like a best friend, I think, is another one. And another one, he gets to be this little girl's father from the United States. It's just a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But I watched the trailer, and I immediately was blown away. I saw it once a couple of months ago, wasn't really paying attention, but watched it this time, and now I have to see it. And Conan O'Brien did a bit. By the way, if you look at it on YouTube, Conan O'Brien did a bit when he went to Japan where he actually rented a family as a bit on the Conan O'Brien show. As it turns out, that I didn't know from this thing, was that he asked, hey, if I wanted to extend the services of these individuals to play my family members, how long could I do it? And the guy tells him in Japanese, 3 years. These are actors you can pay for, you can buy or rent for 3 years to play your family members. I'm not going to tell you, you have to watch the Conan O'Brien skit because even he recognizes it, that it's a little odd because the people you can rent as a family, you can rent a wife, a husband, and even a kid to play your kid in Japan, I should say, in Japan. They don't speak a lot of English, but, you know, that's pretty much the role that they take. And you can rent them for 3 years in that role. So if you're interested, check it out. I just wanted to mention that. Now, let's get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Mark is in West Hartford. What's up, buddy?
Hey, so this Chris Baker story, I wasn't familiar with it, and then I looked around after you talked about it. Now, the one thing I do know, because I raised 3 boys, and they played every sport possible. Of course, I'm in West Hartford. Soccer, lacrosse, football, baseball. And the one thing that they have for any sport in Connecticut, in fact, I just Googled it because I figured there's even more than back when my kids played football. I just put football clinics in Connecticut for high school athletes.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Chris start now? Now, most of these are for profit.
Yes.
And most of them come with the background. You know, somebody like, I remember lacrosse, somebody played for Notre Dame, and he was a solo guy going around. He made a boatload of money running a clinic. He brought some other collegiate athletes. It was during the summer. I mean, if Chris really wants to help out these students, why doesn't he just go on social media, find a location, and hold a clinic?
Well, I can answer that for you because, and I knew the question would come. So it turns out that a couple of years back, Chris Baker did do exactly this. In fact, the school was on board. There was a relationship between him and the school and this program that he ran. Now, it was separate from the school. It was sort of in conjunction. Everybody was fine. The relationship was great. But then it ended, and he had been gone for a couple of years, according to what they tell me. And now this new sort of relationship, or now their lack thereof, this new sort of interest by him into the school is not being done in a respectful way, in the way in which they see it. It's like it's a little intrusive and undermining the actual coaching staff. And he's not doing it the way that he did before. They almost feel like they're being railroaded as a sort of NFL guy. He's using his credentials as being in the NFL as somebody who's kind of running roughshod over the folks who have a program to run, and that can be disruptive. You know what I mean?
And that's within the school, but why doesn't he try that leads me to believe, so if you are running one of these clinics, and let's say you were a former coach or existing coach, you've got a clinic, and you've got this NFL player just itching to be involved in all aspects of helping these student athletes out, How come they're not reaching out to him? That's telling me a little something about this guy
Well,
and his behavior, because it sounds to me like he'd be a good asset to any clinic. Like, you'd be able to go, hey, we've got Chris Baker, formerly of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
5
and
different
there
teams.
are some reasons for that I cannot, for legal reasons, cannot disclose. But let's just say
Right,
like
it's a
that's
pain in the butt. I can tell already. Without having specifics, I can tell there's something there.
yeah. Again, like I said, for legal reasons, I cannot discose. But that it's not fair for me to do that. And because if I did, if I could, I would, but I can't, so I won't. But yes, there's other parts of this
I get it. But if his intentions were pure, helping out these kids, there's so many different ways he could do it on so many different levels, whether it's just moving on or actual techniques or all of it.
Yeah, and I agree.
mean,
That's
to
exactly.
want to be on that school property, that's leading me to believe that this is a little deeper, and
yeah,
he's
it
trying
is.
to whatever.
It is, and the stuff that I know was told, and the stuff that I know is told off the record, so I'm keeping it off the record. So,
yeah, no, but I think most listeners could figure it out too. It's like those of us in Connecticut, especially. Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of money on these clinics, and I don't think he needs the money if he's willing to go in there and do all this for free. So you know what? Set up some free clinics and have at it, and then the parents could decide if he's that valuable to these kids and families and parents. Then it should be a win-win. All he has to do is advertise himself, where to show up. There's plenty of
and according to many reports, Mark, they say that there are some parents who like the guy and really do, and are encouraged by what he's trying to do. So I would say it's not like he doesn't have support. I would just use that as the.
Well, it sounds to me he doesn't need to be on public property to do what he wants to do.
Indeed.
And he should just stop it and move on.
Exactly.
If he keeps it up, then he's losing credibility about what he really wants to do.
Very true.
'Cause I think there's something deeper. Thanks, Reese.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. White Mike calling all the way from parts unknown. What's going on, boss man?
Hey, man. So I worked all day, of course. So any update on what was up with the guy who shot up the Mormon church in Michigan?
It's funny that you should ask that. So I do have this part of that story here. According to an interview that the Gateway Pundit did with, I guess his name, he's a Burton resident, who said that he spoke with Thomas Jacob Sanford, who is the guy who drove the truck into the Grand Blanc, into the church. In a conversation with him, he says that the conversation went south because he was referring to Mormons as the Antichrist in his conversation. He had a personal issue with them. And let me see if I can actually get the quote. He says, Chris Johns told us that although many on social media are attempting to make this a left-right issue, we spoke with him for about 20 minutes. He said not one time did he mention the current president or the former president, Charlie Kirk, or the past president. He said he explained that in addition to about 5 minutes of their personal banter, the rest of the conversation was focused exclusively on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he said that that's what this was about, that he was considering them the Antichrist, that this was just religious in nature. Someone also tried.
Look, they're a little wacky, okay? I mean, if you really dig into Mormonism, it's a little weird. But I don't know if these people are the Antichrist.
Yeah, that's a bit extreme.
I think it's a bit ridiculous that they change their rules according to whatever the prophet says God told him. And they've done that twice since the 1860s. You know the story on that real quick?
Well, I don't know about the change in the 1860s, but I do remember 1974. Is that the other one?
Yeah, well, in the 1860s, the Mormons were continuing to have polygamy. So the federal government said,
That's right.
We're going to send troops in here and stop you. So the elder says, let me go talk to God real quick. He goes to his room, and he comes back, and he says, hey, I talked to the big guy, and the big guy says no more polygamy, so quit it. And then in the 70s, the same thing. He was like, hey, God says the dark ones are not the sons of Satan, so they're fine.
Yes, the one that prompted Mitt Romney to pull over in Philadelphia and have a good cry. Which I always ask, exactly what were you crying about, Mitt Romney?
Yeah, dude, I mean, there's a lot of other religions to have beef with besides the silly Mormons.
Yeah.
I mean, their stuff's a little wacky, but, damn, it's not like
I know. I just
they're Muslims.
You know what? To me, what I would say was like, this sounds like having beef with the Amish. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not.
Oh, now I have beef with those people. I don't like the Amish at all.
I'm not going to let you air that grievance today. I got to take a break, Mike. I got to go.
All right.
You got it, man. How do you have beef with the Amish? Those people carry houses. What's wrong with you? Those are the most nice, good-natured people I've ever met in my life. I'll tell that story one day. Okay, now let me take this opportunity, now that I have a couple of minutes before we get back to weather and traffic, getting you home, of course. The Bad Bunny controversy. It's not a controversy. It isn't. Okay? It's just a reggaeton artist who is against ICE and deportations in the United States. And yes, he said he would never perform in the United States because he would be concerned about his fans' safety, because I guess a legion of his fans are illegals. Okay, are we letting the cat out of the bag? Of course he is. Bad Bunny, if that's what he believes, that's fine. And then people are saying, well, he's a hypocrite if he's going to perform at the Super Bowl in San Francisco. Not the same thing. It's not a concert. The people who are going to be there are going to be held captive. You understand? This is not a concert. This is what's called a hostage situation. Now, Wendy, who has joined the program, she was a guest on the show, and she's an avid listener of the show, and I love her for it. Obviously, we were good enough for her to stick around for the program, because some people just show up and then leave. I'm probably going to get some hate on this one. I am not a reggaeton fan. I call the music reggaeton death. I'm not a fan. It's not for me. It's not made for me. For me, a lot of it all sounds the same. You know? It all sounds like gasolina. That's what I don't know. I listened to it. I tried. I can't. It's not about not following it. It's just not my cup of tea. Just isn't. But I get it. It's got a legion of fans. I can't get. Look, I'm the guy who introduced the world to Aventura. Yeah, believe it or not, I am the guy. I introduced the world to Aventura, one of the biggest bachata bands in the world right now. I was one of the first hosts to ever introduce them at the Copacabana in New York. So I get it. Some people like this music. I've been trying to figure it out for the longest. What's the appeal? I know it's more than just reggaeton music. I'm sure it's, rap and hip hop and all that stuff. I don't have but yes, and merengue too. Yeah. I get it all. I get it. Again, not hating on it. But folks, people are billing it as an anti-Trump thing, like the NFL is thumbing its nose at Donald Trump and MAGA, because that's what they want. They want that to be the story. But can I do this? This is really, really the truth. The NFL really believes it can get away with anything. And that's because, look, when the fans threaten they're going to leave, they leave for a little while and then they come back. You know it. Remember what the Colin Kaepernick thing? That era was kind of garbage. But now it's back and it's better than ever and the ratings are through the roof. People end up going back. You want to know why? Because everything else sucks. And people like football. They do. Some people can't live without it. And when you know as a brand that people are going to keep coming back, sometimes you kind of go, you thumb your nose at them. And you go, yeah, I know you don't like this guy. I'm going to put him on anyway. Even after the Kendrick Lamar debacle, it doesn't matter. They're going to keep doing it. And they're going to try to keep going after the younger audience that they think wants to hear that. They don't care about you. They don't. They never have. They know you're coming for the football. Just turn the channel. And you don't have to listen to all that gasolina, whatever it is that they do. There you go. There he is. That's it. Tito Puente. Yes. Irisacón. Yes. Tortilla chips. A little queso. Let's get to the BPS Traffic Center.
You'd be bouncing between the couch, getting your food, bouncing up and down.
Exactly. I just say a bunch of Spanish words, Jennifer Lopez. It doesn't matter.
Bad Bunny is probably the biggest artist in the world.
Yeah, he
right
is.
now.
He is. He's
no question about it.
He's top of the charts right now. They're loving him.
And he'll be on the biggest stage come February for the Super Bowl.
Sure enough.
At Levi Stadium in California.
Yeah.
All right, Reese, thank you very much.
Listen to
Here we go.
WTIC News Talk
sir.
1080 on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
Hey, we're back. It's Reese on the radio. And wow, I thought that I had something else there. Anyway, we're back. We'll take your phone calls in a second. Velo Airlines has been under the gun, as you were, by folks like William Tong, Justin Elicker, even Governor Lamont. Well, according to a new story that came out today, I think it might be a good idea to back off of Velo because an airline has actually ended its run at Bradley. Spirit's airline is ending its service from Bradley International Airport in Windsor Locks at the end of October, more than 8 years after debuting amid the jump of regional jet service from Connecticut. The parent company, Spirit Aviation Holdings, entered bankruptcy at the end of August. It's the second such filing in a span of 9 months, with the goal to stay in business while eliminating debt through the court process. The company announced plans this month to furlough some 1,800 flight attendants on a temporary basis. In 2024, Spirit CEO cited issues with engines made by Raytheon's East Hartford-based subsidiary, Pratt & Whitney, as having contributed to its financial problems, with Spirit among several airlines to have grounded airplanes for fixes. In addition to the Bradley exit, Spirit Airline is ending service at MSP Airport in Minneapolis. That's Minneapolis-St. Paul, for those of you who don't know the airport code. And in all, Spirit is canceling 40 routes, including some at other airports. So there you have it. Those folks are out of there. So people in the area of Connecticut, especially in Bradley, need cheap flights. And these airlines, which are finding themselves to be unsustainable, sadly enough, as more of them keep leaving and running through bankruptcy problems, I would say leave a Velo alone, because you're really going to hurt travelers in the state. You know, a Velo goes and, you know, you have Continental, you have American, and every other one of the larger companies. They're going to go gouging. Folks are not going to be able to travel or go see family and do that stuff. So leave them alone. It's just not a good time. So just so you know. Let's go to back to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Tom is in Thomaston. Hello, sir.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. What's up?
Hey, I got a question. I got a comment on the soon-to-be shutdown, maybe. But first, did you ever find any information? You talked about the movie news just a little bit ago. Did you ever find anything about that Morgan Freeman being in that movie about that horse?
No, the story I did look up was that a studio did buy the rights to it, but they have not been able to get it done. And I think that Morgan Freeman was one of the people who were slated to be in the film, but it never got, I guess it was never done because of that. I guess they couldn't get it greenlit, and a person involved in it just said, this, let it go. So I'll look again and see if there's any other stories on it.
Yeah, he wanted to play the owner of the horse,
mm-hmm.
In his later age. Yeah.
I think it would be a great story. It was a great story. I read it. I read it after you talked to me about it.
Yeah, there's a book. I'm not a big book reader, but I keep saying I'm going to get the book and read the book on it. It's a fascinating story. I mean, he was like the star of the United States for a while.
Apparently so.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're crazy.
Anyway, what was your other question? What was your question? I mean, your statement. Sorry.
Now, I know if there's a shutdown, I know a lib, maybe our friend Tim from Wallingford, going to call in and wring in their hands. But in a shutdown, the military soldiers get paid. Mm-hmm. The only thing that can't happen is that colonels and generals can't get promoted.
Mm-hmm.
And all it means for government workers is they get a paid vacation. Because after it's all said and done, they all get their back pay back.
That's exactly what happens. And I think the crucial part about it is, which I thought was interesting, even Hakeem Jeffries is looking like he's about to waffle, because They spent all the beginning of the year during the Doge issue keeping people in their government jobs. If indeed Democrats are responsible for government closure, right? If we have to shut down the government, they in essence have to deal with the I guess the visual sort of press response that is going to be, look what happened, these people are out of work. And as you just said, they're going to get their back pay, but it still optically looks bad for Democrats, for a group of people who were trying to protect government jobs, allowing them then to be furloughed or taken off the job, which then will only lead President Trump to say, well, how many of these people can we let go? So if they become the impetus of that, it looks bad on them anyway. And this is not, they need this in one way, but it hurts them more on the other side. Because remember, a government shutdown, they can use that as weight during the midterm elections next year. But the biggest problem is one, it's too early, and two, it has a tendency to backfire. It always does, as it did on Obama.
Yeah, you think there will be a shutdown?
No, I think Democrats will cave. I don't think they have a choice. They have no power. Where's their power? They're gonna find a fight somewhere else down the road, and this is not one, because if the government closes, they don't have any insurance that it's going to be temporary or very short-lived, that they can get some political capital out of it. And Donald Trump doesn't care. Donald Trump said, shut down the government and save the taxpayer money. I'm all for it.
If I was a government employee, I'd be all for a shutdown too, because none of them seem to lose a job, and they all get paid, so it's like a vacation.
Yep, that's exactly the point. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Let's go to Lori. Hello, Lori.
Hey, Reese. So jumping back to Japan for just a second.
Yeah, sure.
I have never. Okay, granted, I was there. I lived there in the late '90s, but I never heard of being able to rent a family. So I'm assuming that's like a big city, Tokyo, because Tokyo is basically
it wasn't
Japanese
Tokyo
version of New York.
You're absolutely right, because that's Conan. That's it. Now, when I was watching the trailer, it did not disclose where it was, but I could presume it was Tokyo. But the thing was that I was trying to show the trailer to my wife. So I was like, Brendan Fraser movie about Japan. And then right next to it was Conan O'Brien's bit where he was filming in Japan and he rented a family. So I said, I got to watch this. And we watched the whole thing. It was pretty funny. And it turns out that there was a real story that said their headline read, national problem in Tokyo, or Japan, is loneliness. And that was why he did the bit. And this company is designed to do just that.
Yeah, it figures it would be had to be either Tokyo or one of the bigger cities. So I was up in Sendai, which is where the tsunami and earthquake happened.
Yeah, sure.
But Japan is, granted, it's a weird little country because you can buy underwear and porn and vending machines as you walk down the street. But it's like, so it's weird.
Okay, the porn stuff, not odd. Oddly enough, weirdly enough, it's not, because I've heard of that everywhere. But underwear, that one's weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You could get just about anything in Japan on a vending machine. It is odd. I'm not. Yeah, that was a little bit of a shocker when I was there. But
apparently, do they have a lot of people having accidents in the street that you have to pick up a pair of underwear?
You know what? It's just an odd place because people will just pee by the side of the road.
Really?
They'll be out. Oh yeah. They'll be out partying or whatever. You'll see some drunk businessman do his thing by against the building.
Gotcha.
Or some little old lady grandma will be, squatting down and doing her thing, and it's just like, where am I right now?
Yeah, that's unheard of. So okay, but the only reason why I say this and why it sort of made sense to me, because I got out of my own little bubble, right, being an American, but when I heard about the trailer and then I saw the Conan O'Brien bit, tell me if I'm wrong here, having been there, Lori. Okay. Is the loneliness because it's such an online world and it's very pervasive in Japan?
Well, so remember, when I was there, it wasn't as
Right.
It was in the late 90s, so
Right.
being online wasn't as
Pronounced.
prevalent.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I mean, it's a very repressed country.
Oh.
But people, so there's very. It's a country where it's very important to save face.
Mhm.
No one really wants to admit anything if there's anything wrong, if everything's not picture perfect.
Is it reclusive?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's reclusive, but it's just they want to project the perfect family, the perfect life. Here's what's interesting is that families in Sendai, the husbands would be called businessmen, and they would spend their weeks in Tokyo, living in an apartment in Tokyo, and then fly back to their families on the weekend. So it's such a odd situation compared to where we are here, where we're just like a car ride away.
Yeah.
So I could see where loneliness is prevalent, but here's this on the dark part of that, though, is that there's a lot of prostitution, as one can imagine.
Really?
And I won't get into some of the gory details
please
that I
don't.
know of. But I do have a really funny story. If you want to give me a second, a really funny story.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so I was waiting for a train. Actually, let me start by saying my foreign friends and some of my Japanese friends said, "You're kind of cute. Like this is what's going to happen at some point in time. Some guy is going to try to hit on you somewhere, and what you need to do is when that happens, take a couple steps back, point your finger at him, and say chikan, chikan, which means pervert in Japanese." So one day, I'm standing waiting for a train, and sure enough, some guy comes up to me and says, "Oh, America-jin, are you a gaijin?" Yeah, okay, I'm American. And he's like, "Oh, teacher." And I said, "Yeah, teacher." He's like, "Oh, sex, hotel?" And I took a couple of steps back, pointed right at him, and I said, "Chikan, chikan," at the top of my lungs, and he scattered away like a cockroach when the light is turned on. And it was so that worked like a charm. But it's an odd little country.
Wow. I'm sorry that you went through that. I'm glad you ended up safe. Do you have any other altercations like that thereafter, or was that the only one?
I had one before, but with like a grandfather guy who was following me down into the subway, and I was like, "Lord, please let the train come soon." And it came soon. I jumped on, I waved sayonara, and I got on and I said bye.
Lori, that's a harrowing story. Wow. And this is the reason why I won't leave. It's the reason why I won't go to other countries. They scare me. They just scare me. I'm afraid of them. My wife wants me to travel everywhere in the world. This is the reason why. You've just certified that I'd never go anywhere. Absolutely.
No, but at least go to Italy. Italy is wonderful.
Okay, maybe I'll do Italy. To be honest with you.
Yeah, go with Frank. Go with Frank to Sicily. How bad could it be?
Indeed. Thanks, Lori. I appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye. Ugh, I wouldn't even know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do. And they're always is that the same place where they're always bunched up in the subway? Like they're always like, oh, those things. I'm claustrophobic. I couldn't ride the subway there. Or whatever that speed rail is with all of them just bunched up on each other. Ooh, no. I have a hard time with people like hugging me. I wouldn't want to be up against strangers. How do people do that? That's just weird. Anyway, we got to get up out of here. Folks, welcome to your week. We got plenty of news and plenty of views to get into. We'll talk about the college story tomorrow. We'll get to that. We'll also break down this Middle East deal, the 20-point plan that Donald Trump has laid out, plus any other details of that. I've got this great story that I need to get into about the scandals happening in Connecticut that the news media is barely talking about, but they involve millions of dollars. And they've pretty much gone by the wayside. And one of those scandals, of course, is the one with place to be. So we've got all of that information coming to you tomorrow, so stand by for that as well. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow. Make sure you check out the Substack. Make sure you go to reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. We will see you mañana. Roland will be back. Thank you, Joey. I appreciate you as always.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for always going back and forth. And I'm going to see if I can put on some Adidas sneakers. I don't know. Whatever. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center, getting you home. Good night, sir. See you mañana.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. You too have a great night.
You're clear.
Thank you, sir.
Really quiet on the road.
Hey, you still feeding the stream?
1 and 3 to
yeah, why? What's up?
Well, no, let me know when you shut him down.
Okay, yeah. Hold on.
Slight slowdown
Give me a sec.
westbound as you move New Britain into Plainville between exit 36 and 33 in Plainville. Another minor slowdown as you approach the Mixmaster in Waterbury on 84 West. If you're traveling southbound on the Parkway...